The peck of pickled peppers Peter Pepper picked. Betty Botter bought some butter, but she said the butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter, but a better butter will make my butter better. So it was better Betty Botter bought a bit of butter. All right. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, gotta do that. What? Okay, sure. There we go. All right, let's get it.
Hello?
Hey, how's it going? How old are you?
Hail Satan! Hail Satan!
Okay. Well, on to the next one, I guess. Yeah, hey, thanks so much. Yeah, I am feeling better. I was feeling quite nauseous yesterday, but no, I'm feeling a good deal better. Hey, if you disagree with the topic, if you think that God is real, I ask that you have some sort of argument or evidence for God's existence, just like some sort of reason to think that he exists. People are intimidated by the word argument, but argument just means like you have a conclusion and a reason to think that that conclusion is true, like a piece of evidence or some sort of like, premise 1, premise 2 type beat. Any of that is all good. That will go to the very first guest. Hey, how's it going?
Hi, how's it going?
Yep, how old are you?
22.
And what religion?
I believe in God, but I don't have a religion.
And when you say God, what do you mean?
A creator of the universe.
Okay, what makes you think that God exists?
Well, do you recognize that, evil exists?
Yep.
Yeah, I believe therefore there must be equal force of goodness.
Well, I mean, goodness and evil could both exist. I don't know why it would need to be equal. Like, why couldn't there be way more evil than there is good?
I'm not saying it's perfectly balanced, but I'm just saying that there is a source for life, or like for our being. There is a source, yeah. I
don't really know what you're saying, but like, what you're saying might be trivial. Like, I agree, we came from evolution. That's the source of our being. That doesn't really have anything to do with things like good and evil, though.
So you already have a conclusion that we came from evolution without actually being able to witness it.
Sir, do you think that in order to know something, you need to witness
all
it? Do you think that the only sort of evidence that exists for a position is like being able to see it yourself? Are you under the impression that that's true?
For people like you, since you always ask.
Oh, did I say that? I don't think I said that.
Why do you interrupt me twice?
Because you're strawmanning my position. If you don't want to get interrupted, then maybe just represent my position accurately. I didn't say that you need to see something in order to believe it. The reason why I don't believe in God has nothing to do with the fact that I can't see him. It has everything to do with the fact that there are contradictions entailed by God's existence.
All right, guess what? Can you go to the Quran?
Sorry, you don't believe in the Quran?
Yes, but I'm looking, and I have miracles in the Bible. I have miracles in the Quran. We can look at all of those.
Sure.
So can you go to 2788?
Quran 2788.
I'm sure it was that. I hope.
Now you see the mountains, thinking they are firmly fixed, but they are traveling just like clouds. That is the design of Allah, who has perfected everything. Surely he is all aware of what you do.
Yeah, so do you know that mountains actually move positions like, hundreds of meters?
But I don't think I'd say that they move just like clouds.
No, so here, what it's saying, it's not saying it's making the same cycles of movement. It's saying it moves, and then it gives a comparison to like the clouds because they also move. It's not saying they make exact same motions. Of course not. This is Arabic. But yeah, so how could if it's a man-made religion, right? Since you believe it's just man-made, it is like man cannot witness mountains moving, right?
Why not?
Well, because we can't.
Why not?
We can't know this with the blind eye.
We can't because we can't. Whoa, that's so insightful. You know, we can't because we just can't. We can't.
Have you ever witnessed
Why can't we?
Because it takes...
You fell into like the same stumbling block, you know. Just because I haven't seen something doesn't mean that we can't have evidence for it.
Because in a man's lifetime, which is like maybe maximum 90 years, in a man's lifetime, the mountains only moves little.
By the way, just 1 second. Ian, I'm at work, so I'm not going to be up for long, but this specific verse, it's talking about the end times. You can read into the Tafsir, it's talking about the mountains moving at the end times when the world is collapsing. It is not talking about right now.
Okay, sounds good. Hey, well, Ems, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good day.
Yep.
What he said is inaccurate, actually. That's why he left.
Well, let's just read it in context.
You can't just give an argument and then leave with no source.
Whoa, sorry, let's just read the context.
You can read the context.
Yeah.
Read it.
And beware the day of the... Oh, sure, yeah, it literally is about that. And beware of the day the trumpet will be blown, and all those in heaven or in the heavens, and all those on the earth will be horrified to the point of death, except those who Allah will spare, and all will come before him fully humbled. Now you see the mountains thinking they are firmly fixed, but they are just like clouds. That is the design of Allah, who has perfected everything. Surely he is all aware of what you do. Whoever comes with good deed will be rewarded with what is better, and they will be secure from the horror on that day. So it is talking about the end times.
It literally said in the verse after, and now. It doesn't talk about Day of Judgment. It says
it's when it says now, it's referring to now on the Day of Judgment. That on the Day of Judgment we will say now the mountains are moving just like clouds. That's why the verse before is talking about the Day of Judgment, as is the verse after. It's saying that day, and the verse after referring to the Day of Judgment.
Look.
This is like obviously referring to the Day of Judgment. You know, if your debate strategy here relies on dishonest readings of these verses, then we're just going to put them into proper context, and then it's just going to be kind of embarrassing for you when it doesn't say what you think it says.
Go to the Tafsir, go to Ibn Kathir, read it, and that's how the Muslims think. Go.
Yep, the terror of the day of the resurrection and the rewards for good deeds and the punishment for evil deeds. So it is about the day. I'm looking at the verse. Apparently it is about the Day of Judgment.
Can you go to Tafsir?
Yeah, I'm reading the Tafsir. I'll show it to you even.
Yeah, who's Tafsir?
The top one that comes up.
Look at the...
Yep, the terrors of the Day of Resurrection, the rewards for good deeds and the punishments for evil deeds.
Yeah, you have to finish it.
Okay. So it is talking about, to be clear...
So do you notice that... it's a different surah.
What do you think?
You go all the way to
what
the
are you
right.
talking about?
No.
It's this one.
Go to the right.
Now you see the mountains thinking they are firmly fixed, but they are traveling just like clouds. That is the design of Allah, who has perfected everything. Surely he is all aware of what you do. You don't think 2788 is in between 2787 and 2790? You don't think that 88 is in between 87 and 90?
You have to finish.
Would you just be willing to acknowledge this basic fact that 88 is between 87 and 90? Can we just acknowledge reality? Sure, so then it is talking about the day of the resurrection.
When it talks about mountains moving, it's moving now in real time.
No, it's talking about the Day of Judgment. That's why all the verses are about the Day of Judgment.
That's what you assume.
That's what the Tafsir says. It's the book that you literally told me to bring up. Listen, I'm sorry if like your own source disproved you. You know, that's my bad, gang. And maybe come with like better sources.
You're zesty, bro. You're kind of zesty, bro.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, how does it feel to lose to somebody so zesty?
Well, I just believe in God. I didn't say I'm a Muslim.
I didn't say that you're Muslim. I asked you, how does it feel to lose to somebody who's so zesty?
Yeah, I don't mind getting educated. Maybe,
okay.
What's the problem? I don't have an
Yeah.
ego.
You don't mind to such an extent that you feel the need to make like personal jabs?
No, I'm just saying you sound like not too masculine, but you
Okay.
already know that. Just
Well, I don't
what
really
I
care.
noticed.
It's not really one of my goals is to be masculine. My goal is to pursue truth. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but you don't sound particularly masculine yourself.
No, I just try to not sound like a woman, but
Okay.
I try, man. I try, brother.
Oh, well, I don't think I sound like a woman, but
I mean, we
you
differ.
probably have like a sense of hearing in the same way that you have a sense of being able to read the Quran accurately, which is to say that, you don't. But do you have anything else?
Nah, I'm good, because since
Okay. Make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. Whoa, Josiah, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. Yeah, I did change. We're doing a bit of a change on the YouTube. I'm experimenting with ways to make my time commitment every day a bit more sustainable. And one of the ways that I'm thinking of doing this is I'm thinking of making some of the older videos member only. And then I also want to do, like after today's stream, for example, I'm going to do a members only Q&A stream in addition to your regularly scheduled stream. But make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. And to be clear, replays will be totally available for non-members for, I don't know, like a week or so, and then they're going to be member mode. And if that doesn't have the sorts of effects that we want it to have, then we might change it back. But anyway, make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you are 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I also ask that you have some sort of argument or evidence for God's existence. One sec, let me I'm sorry, it's like cold. Can't get the temperature right. Oop. Shoot. I don't know why it's not letting me letting me see the people who are subscribing. Whoa, Josiah, thank you so much for the Magnificent Mary. That kicks ass. Nightman Comment, thank you so much for the Cool Corey subscription. And Hercules, thank you so much for the Cool Corey. It's cool to see all these people who are like longtime viewers. That's chill. I like that. Anyway, with that, we will go to the very next guest.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going? How old are you?
I'm 26.
Yep. What religion?
I'm Catholic.
Okay. What makes you think that God exists?
My faith in it. I mean.
Okay. Do you take this to be like a justified belief or like an unjustified belief?
I think justified.
Sure. So do you have like some sort of like rational reason to think that God exists?
I mean, many proven records from historians and
like what?
Also the Bible.
What are let's talk about like the historical, like the proven historical records. What are the proven historical records?
Even in Chinese records of history, they talk about a comet right around when Jesus Christ was born.
Which one? Which Chinese historian? Oop, if you're off the app, I can't hear you. You got to be on the app.
The Star of Bethlehem.
But who's the Chinese historian? Like, what's the name of the Chinese historian?
Doesn't show here, but you can look it up.
What source are you reading this off of?
Google.
Google. What did you Google?
Google. Chinese scripture, Jesus Christ evidence.
Chinese scripture, Jesus Christ
evidence.
Evidence. a good neutral
they talk
search
about
term.
a halo 3 days after he was killed, meaning resurrection.
Matching a 70-day comet. It's from the Han Dynasty. Document a 70-day comet around Christ's birth. That's not around Christ's birth. This is like 4 to 5 BC. When do you think Christ was born?
Around that time.
But what year specifically do you think he was born?
Who knows? Maybe.
So when I look to see like an original source for this, you know, I can't help but notice that all the sources for this are like Facebook and like YouTube. Is there like a real source of some sort for this?
Blame the sources, right?
Well, I just don't think that there are any credible sources here.
Check. Let me give you another one. Put Emperor Wang Wu talking about a guy dying for our sins.
Emperor Wang Wu?
31 to 33 BC.
Wang Wu. Sure. And he says what?
He said a man from heaven died for his sins all the way in China.
Wang Wu. Jesus. Let's see it. I can't. All these sources suck too. It's shit like these are also like Reddit sources.
So that's
Let me check to see like maybe on like the Wikipedia page we'll have something about like sin.
'33 BC.
Yeah, but there's like no source that actually claims that he says this other than Reddit.
I don't know about that. That sounds like an excuse.
Then how about you give it a source? If there are sources other than Reddit that are claiming it, then give one.
I mean, let me look one up. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it. I'm seeing some stuff on Substack, but I don't take that to be particularly credible either, unless they themselves cite some source. Guang Wu, history of the later Han Dynasty, and the last day of the last day of the month, there was a solar eclipse, avoided the throne room, suspended all military activity, and did not handle official business for 5 days. Okay. Doesn't say anything about Jesus. During the rain, encircled the sun. No. So I'm not saying anything for the claim. So your claim specifically, unless you're going to abandon your original claim, your claim specifically was that Guang Wu says somebody has died for our sins. Where's that?
He said, man from heaven died, and
Where?
all our sins have been pardoned.
Where?
Check. Chronicles of the Emperor Wang Wu, 7 year.
Chronicles of Guang Wu?
7 year, volume 1.
7th year, volume 1. This doesn't even seem like a real book, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a scripture. Chinese always write everything down.
But that might be the case. But it doesn't seem like the book title that you gave me is the name of the thing that you're talking about.
I mean, maybe it's a big volume. You want to read it?
I can't even find the book. It looks like this book is completely made up.
So you're again blaming sources.
Why can't I find the book that you cited? Why does it look like you just completely made that up?
No, I'm not making anything up, man. I saw it online.
Sure, and on
like
what
you.
website did you see it?
On Google. I Googled it up.
Well, I'm literally Googling Chronicles of Emperor Guangwu, 7th year, volume 1, and we're not finding anything.
Let me check.
Maybe you're referring to the Book of the Later Han?
Maybe. Can you look that one up also?
Okay. What do we got? Fuck, it's all in Mandarin. Okay. Let's see if... Alright, Grok, I have a mission for you.
They even talk about a solar eclipse. The same as when Jesus died on the cross.
Yeah, sorry, I'm waiting for Grok to translate this. Oh, no, Grok is saying no. Alright, ChatGPT, you're up. I guess maybe I can just look up, maybe to make it easier, I'll just look up ancient Chinese word for a solar eclipse. Sure. Okay. Okay. We might be in business. Let's see.
Nice.
Oh, fuck, it actually did it. Okay. RUA. On the last day of the month, the Yihai day of the second month, there was a solar eclipse. But second month, of course, how many months did these fucks have? It would have been the lunar calendar, so it would have been sometime in like, I don't know, like April-ish. Because of the eclipse, the emperor avoided the main hall. He spent much time reading prophetic texts and sat beneath the vrinda exposed to the open air. He got an illness from wind exposure and suffered dizziness. Those around him reported to the Grand Marshal that his condition was so severe he could not move. Nevertheless, he forced himself to accompany the officials and went out in a carriage. After traveling several li, his illness improved somewhat. On the second day of the fourth month, the imperial carriage stayed overnight at Yanshi. After a few days of recovery, he entered into the Nanyang and arrived at Ye. Traveling with a reduced escort, he stayed a few days along the way with over 1,000 troops and horses from Liyang. He finally reached Zhongling, where his health gradually returned to normal. Okay. This doesn't say anything about Jesus or like a dude dying for sins.
Well, we got the wrong one. There's
Okay.
a lot of scripture.
Okay.
I'm also looking up for it, so if I find something, I'll let you know.
Okay. Let me let's try translating this one. There's 2 mentions of a solar eclipse. On the Bingzi day of the 5th month, an edict was issued. The prolonged drought has damaged the wheat and the autumn planting has not yet been carried out. I am deeply concerned. Perhaps the remaining cruel officials have not been brought under control, and many cases in the prisons involve unresolved injustices. The common people are full of sorrow and resentment. Could this be the stirring forces of heaven? Let the central government office, the 3 auxiliary regions, and the commanderies and kingdoms release prisoners. Those whose crimes do not merit capital punishment are, for the time being, not to be persecuted at all. Those currently serving sentences are to be free and made commoners. Strive to promote the gentle and good and dismiss the greedy and cruel. Let each official carry out his proper duties. Well, I mean, this kind of sounds like vaguely like what you're talking about, but this seems not like somebody from heaven has come down and died for us, but rather, you know, we've imprisoned too many people. We should let some of these people go. This just sounds like bureaucratic goings about.
Yeah, I have to find the exact source, but
Okay.
I mean, doesn't
Well-
seem odd to you that they talk about stuff that happened like half of the world away?
Like what?
Like the eclipse, a man from heaven dying, and
They don't talk about a man from heaven dying. And I mean,
hello.
there were eclipses in China. You know, eclipses happen like once every couple of years or so.
Right, but that's the same period of time.
Okay.
You know, the
But they
Chinese are
happen
not the
like
only ones that
every
name
couple
it
of-
that eclipse, right?
Sorry, what?
There's another historians on.
Well,
like,
you haven't
Europe
demonstrated
and-
that this one claims that there was an eclipse at that time.
Check again if you want to. Or if you wanna.
I mean, you still haven't provided a source yet. But listen, as much fun as this is,
That's a good boy. Now don't run, Ian.
Oh.
Don't you run.
that was weird. This shit is not rhetorical. Let's get a couple things out of the way first. How old are you?
Yeah, July 18, 2001, 24.
Sure. And what religion?
Yeah, I'm Christian.
Okay. What makes you think that God exists?
Yeah, Ian, if I wanted to be a grapist, what would be the moral dilemma that I can be? Go ahead.
Whoa, sorry. I just asked you, what's the reason why you think God exists? What's the
Yeah, and
argument
I'm
for
giving you
it?
the more. I'm giving you the argument. And the
Okay,
premise
so here's
one.
what I'm gonna do.
Buddy,
I'm
don't
gonna go
run,
ahead for
don't
you.
run,
I'm gonna
Ian.
go ahead
Already
for you,
gonna run. Good
and I'll
job.
write it
Already.
down. I'll
All right,
type
what's
out the argument
write
for
down.
you, and we'll
What's
get
the
it
moral
premise by
dilemma that I can't
premise.
be a grapist. Go ahead.
Okay, so I have premise 1. What's the moral dilemma that I can't be a
That's not how you spell what. Good try though.
rapist?
Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. You got this.
Well, it's not how you say rapist.
That's not how you spell what's either, but okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
okay.
So what's premise 2?
Yeah, just answer the question. What's the moral dilemma?
Okay, so I have premise 2. Just answer the question.
Is that you
What's
running? Is
the
that what we call
moral
running? Oh, he's
dilemma? Premise
running.
3.
He doesn't know how to answer
He's
the question.
running. He's running. He
Oh my
doesn't
God, low-tier behavior.
know how to answer the question.
This is called low-tier behavior.
okay, so do you have I have premise 1,
so
what's the
can I
moral
not be a-
dilemma
why
that I
can't I
can't
be
be
a
a
grapist as an
grapist?
atheist?
Premise
You're an
2,
atheist,
just
Ian?
answer the question, what's the moral
He's
dilemma?
running,
Premise
Chad.
3,
He
he's
doesn't know how to
running, he's
answer
running,
it.
he doesn't know how to answer the question, and then the conclusion being God exists. Is that the argument?
Yeah, so are you going to answer the question, Ian?
Whoa, sorry, is that the argument? I just
Why
asked you
can't
a
I be a
question.
grapist if God doesn't exist,
Whoa,
Ian?
sorry. Answer my question. Is this your argument? Your argument is
Scared,
premise
Chad.
1. What's
It's
the moral
actually
dilemma that I
scared.
can't be
Why
a
can't I be a
grapist?
grapist if God doesn't
Premise
exist?
2, just answer
You
the
know you
question.
can't
What's
answer
the
the
moral? Oh,
question,
okay, like a
Ian.
fourth one. I
know you
know
can't answer
you
the question.
can't
That's why you're not going to
answer the question.
He's low tier.
Wheeze, wheeze, wheeze.
Oh, this is so low tier behavior.
You're a
Write
low
that down.
tier. therefore God exists. So I have, and let me make sure I'm not straw manning.
get this
Let
straight.
me make
Ian
sure
is
that
an
I'm
atheist.
engaging with your
Ian is
argument
an
in good
atheist.
faith.
Let's just
I
get
have
this
premise
straight.
1, what's the moral
Let's get this
dilemma that I
right.
can't be a rapist? Premise 2, just answer the question, what's the moral dilemma? Premise
He's
3,
still not
he's
gonna
running,
do it,
he's running, he
chat.
doesn't know how to answer the
He's still
question.
not gonna do it,
Premise
chat.
4, I know
Go
you
ahead,
can't answer
get
the
your
question.
validation, Ian. Go ahead, get your validation.
Premise
Get your
5, you're a low
validation,
tier,
Mr.
therefore God
Ian.
exists.
Get your
So this
validation.
argument doesn't
Go
work for a
ahead.
couple
Go
of
ahead. Get your
reasons.
validation.
The first is that,
Get your
whoa, just
validation,
calm down.
Ian.
There's really no
Buddy,
reason to be getting this
buddy,
upset.
get your validation.
Just take a deep
Ian.
breath. It's really going to be okay. I know that
1,
this
2,
debate
3.
isn't
Get your
going the way
validation.
that
Go
you
ahead.
want it to. I know that you weren't
Chat,
expecting to
validate him,
be
chat.
asked for an
Validate him,
actual
chat. Send him
argument.
gifts,
I know that
chat.
now that you're being asked for an argument, you're kind of
Validate
freaking
him,
the fuck
chat.
out. And I know that you
Validate
would
him.
never
Validate
dodge
him.
and pivot away, but I'm worried that the
Validate.
audience might come
Get
away
your
with the
validation from the
impression
audience. Go
that you're
ahead,
dodging
Ian.
and pivoting and running
Get
away
your-
and refusing to
get
give
your
an actual
validation out of
argument.
the way, Ian, and then let's get
Okay.
started, okay? Did
Sure.
you get your validation?
Premise
You get
1,
your
I'm an
gifts?
agent. Premise 2, if I'm an agent, then I take actions to achieve goals. Premise 3, what's necessary to achieve all of my goals is my freedom and well-being. Premise 4, if something is necessary to achieve my goals, then I have a reason to do it. Premise 5, if I have a reason to do it, then I ought to do it. Premise 6, if I ought to it, then you ought
there
not
you go.
interfere with
All
it.
principles apply to a
Premise
rapist.
7,
There you
if you
go,
ought not
buddy.
interfere with my freedom and well-being, then I have a right to freedom and well-being. Premise 8, if my agency is sufficient for me to have this right, then agency in itself is sufficient for everyone to have this right. Therefore, everybody has a right to freedom and well-being,
rights are a con-
which is
right-
the
yeah,
thing.
rights
Yeah,
are a
wait,
construct,
sorry,
they don't
wait,
exist.
sorry.
Try
Which premise
again.
did that do you reject?
Yeah, so rights are a
He just got
construct, they don't
fucking
exist.
steamrolled
Yeah,
on.
right. What are you
So
talking
so
about?
you
Rights
either
are a
need to
construct,
reject
they
a
don't exist.
premise of one of the
Can you prove to
premises
me
that I
rights
just
exist? Go
gave.
ahead.
Sorry,
Yeah,
which
Ian,
premise
do you
do
have
you
the right to
reject? I
live?
just
Hey,
gave you
Ian,
8 of
do you have the
them.
right to live, Ian? Do you have the right to live?
This dude's like head is completely
Ian,
spinning.
Shut the fuck up for a
Whoa,
minute.
calm down.
Shut
No
up,
need to get
buddy boy.
upset.
Hey, buddy,
You know,
shut up.
I know that
You gotta
morals
stop
on
talking
the
so we can
Christian
debate.
worldview are
You know this is
subjective.
not a
I know that it's
controversial
all
conversation if
subjective
you're
on
gonna
your
talk over me
worldview,
consistently,
which is
right?
why you're like
Hey,
a
learn
little
how to
bit freaked
debate,
out when
Ian.
somebody has
Ian,
objective ethics.
Ian,
But
objectively,
seriously,
you're a
just
fucking
calm down,
dumbass.
take
Answer
a
the
deep
question,
breath. You
buddy.
sound a little bit big mad
Answer the
right now.
question,
And
buddy. Why
I
you have
know that you're
fucking
not
Apple
big mad
headphones on?
right now,
Shut
but
up,
I'm worried
buddy.
that the audience might
You
be
have
coming away with the
$20 headphones on
impression
right
that
now.
you're
Shut
big
up.
mad
Are you
right
ready to
now
debate, buddy?
when you
You can't
can't
prove that I
stop
can't be a
talking
grapist, so
and
you're
can't
mad?
engage with the
Are you
argument
mad?
that's
Are
been
you mad that
presented
you can't
with
prove I
you.
can't be a grapist,
Whoa, do you
Ian?
think that between the two of us, I'm the
Ian,
one that sounds mad right now? You
Ian,
sound
Ian,
pissed.
Ian,
I'm
Ian,
cool
you're
as
only
a
talking calmly
cucumber,
'cause you're the host.
and
You
you're
want
more
attention.
mad than you've ever been in
Ian,
your entire
nobody's
life.
upset,
Right
Ian.
this
You just don't know how to
second,
debate.
just calm
Ian, learn how to
down. It's
debate.
really
Learn
going
how
to
to
be
debate.
okay.
1,
Deep
2, 3, Ian.
breaths. Take a deep
1,
breath.
2,
Inhale.
3. Ready?
Exhale.
Ready to debate, Ian?
Inhale.
Why can't I be a grapist, Ian? What's the
Exhale.
moral dilemma that I cannot be a grapist?
Yeah, because
Go
it
ahead.
violates people's rights to freedom and well-being.
Yeah.
Oh,
Buddy,
fuck.
rights
He
are a
didn't think that
construct.
we would get here in the
Rights
dialogue
are a
tree, and now he doesn't
construct.
know what to do.
Rights are a
He's just a
construct.
dog chasing cars. He got
Rights
presented
are a
with the issue
construct,
with
and
it, and now he's
consent is a
freaking the fuck
construct.
out.
They don't exist. Try again, Ian.
Whoa, sorry. What's the argument for that?
Yeah, wait. Do you think
Wait,
consent exists?
wait. That's the guy.
Do you
That's the
think
sound of this
consent
guy
exists,
trying to
Ian?
keep up.
Do you think consent
Wait,
exists,
sorry. Wait,
Ian?
what's the argument
Wait, Ian,
for
you're
your
trying to
claim?
keep up. Remember,
You
you
said
think
that rights
consent
don't
exists.
exist in my view. What's the argument
Wait,
for
do you
that?
have the right to live, Ian?
Whoa, sorry. Just engage with
Do
the
you have the
question.
right to live, Ian? Yes or
All
no?
right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna type out the
Ian,
question and the
yes or
answer.
no,
So
Ian?
this
Do you
guy
have the right to
needs
live,
to
Mr.
stop being a
Ian?
scumbag.
Oh my
Okay,
God, he's
so
gonna go
my
back to his
question
keyboard.
is,
He's gonna go back to his
why
keyboard.
don't rights exist on my view? And then we'll get
No, that wasn't the question. But
dodge
try again. Try to
counter,
track the conversation
and
we're
we'll
having.
get
Okay, Mr.
the
Ian?
answer.
Do you believe rights exist?
Do you
Go ahead.
believe rights exist?
Now, can you
Yeah, I've already
prove that?
answered yes to this
Yeah, can
question.
you
So
prove
now
that?
answer
Go
my
ahead.
question.
Yeah, go ahead and
Why
prove
don't
that real
rights
quick.
exist
Nah,
on my
Ian,
view?
don't run. Why do
Whoa.
prove it?
Sorry,
it.
yeah. I already proved it.
Prove that rights exist. Go ahead.
Yeah. Premise 1, I'm an agent. Premise 2, if I'm an agent, then I take actions to achieve goals. Premise
We're
3,
all
if I take
agents. That's not
actions to
proving that
achieve
rights
goals,
exist. Rights are a
then
construct created
I'm
by
going to need
society.
my
Try
freedom and
again.
well-being. Premise
Again, that's just
4,
an appeal to
if I
society
need
that we
something
live
in
in.
order
They don't
to
actually
achieve my
exist.
goals, then I have a reason to have it. Premise 5, if I have a reason to have that thing, then I ought have it. Premise 6, if I ought have that thing, then you ought not interfere with it. Premise 7, if everybody else ought not interfere with something, then I
Again,
have a
you're
negative
asking for me
right
not
to
to
it.
interfere with your
Therefore,
consent.
I have
Consent
a
is a construct,
negative
therefore it
right
does
to
not
my
exist.
freedom and
Therefore, it's
well-being
permissible
just
for
on
me
the
to rape
basis of
women.
my
Therefore,
agency.
Women are just-
But premise
wait,
8, if
buddy,
my
we're all
agency is
agents here.
sufficient for me to have these rights, then all agents must have these rights as well. So wait, I'm so sorry. Which premise do you disagree with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8.
Yeah, rights are a construct. They don't
Whoa,
exist.
sorry.
They
I don't
go-
grant that. What's the argument?
Wait, rights are
Wait. Somebody
Rights
hit the
are
red
conceived
reset
through-
button on the back of his head. This
Buddy,
dude's
stop it,
short-circuiting. He
stop it.
doesn't
Try
even
to
know where he
track
is
the
right
conversation we're
now.
having, all right,
Answer the
Ian?
question. Give the
Buddy.
argument, you scumbag.
Yeah. You scumbag.
You
Yeah, rights are a
scumbag. Give the
construct created by
argument.
society. You're just appealing to society who
Whoa.
creates these fucking
What's the
rights.
argument for that?
What do you mean? I just gave you the argument.
So, oh, sure. And what's premise 1 of the argument?
Wait a second. Are rights created by society? Yes
Okay,
or no?
premise 1.
Answer
Are
the question, Mr. Ian.
rights
Stop writing everything down. Try to answer a
created by
question.
society? Well, are you
rights
getting
created by
insecure because
society,
you
yes
can't
or no?
read?
Are rights created by society? Yes or no?
Yes or no? Okay, what's premise 2?
Are you going to answer the question?
Are you going to
Buddy, that's not a premise.
answer
That's a question.
the,
Try again.
the
Go ahead.
question? Okay, what's premise 3?
Buddy, these aren't premises. These are questions.
Buddy,
Try
these
again.
aren't premises.
Oh my God, buddy. You are fucking low tier.
These are
PhD-free.
questions.
That's why you're
Try
upset.
again. What's premise
Remember
4?
PhD free, bro? Remember how PhD free proved to you that you're not living
Remember
on a globe?
when
Remember
what?
that? Remember PhD free?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
he the dog shit out of you, buddy.
Oh, are you
He made
him?
You look sad as fuck.
Oh, wait,
I'm
are
his
you him?
brother. He made
Damn,
you-
what's
he
one point that you
dog-walked
think you did well on?
He dog walked you, buddy.
On
You
what
think you're
point?
living on a fucking water ball right now,
Whoa,
Ian. You're
on what
slow as
point?
fuck.
What's one point that you think that he won on?
Ian.
Ian,
Prove that
Ian,
rights exist.
why is your voice so high
Prove
pitched?
that
Just
rights
calm down
exist,
there.
Ian. Go
You're
ahead.
sounding a bit insecure there.
Prove that rights exist,
I
Ian.
already proved it. I proved it twice now.
No, you didn't. You
Yes,
just
I
keep
did.
repeating the same shit. You're not
Yeah,
proving
then which
anything.
premise of that do you reject?
Yeah, because all you're saying is that
Can
you're
you
an agent.
imagine
We're
being
all
like so
agents.
sad
We're-
that
right.
you yourself are
Ian, we
PhD
are
free
all-
and then you need to
bro,
show up to the live to like
Ian,
suck your own dick?
Ian,
You need to
Ian,
declare
relax,
yourself. Whoa, he's
Ian.
getting
You're
quite
upset that you're
upset.
on a water
As soon as
ball.
I
I get it.
started
I
talking to the
understand.
chat, he got a little
I
bit upset,
understand,
which
buddy.
means
I
that
understand.
I'm
You're getting
probably just going to be
validation
able to
from your
game this
chat.
out that if
300
I
views.
talk to the chat,
Buddy,
this
you
guy's
have
going to get
300
increasing.
views.
Oh,
You're
he's
sad. This is
yelling
my
now.
backup
Calm
account. You're
down.
sad,
Holy
buddy.
shit, dude.
I
This
get more
guy's
views
fucking
than this
crying,
shit,
verge of
buddy.
tears.
Oh my
I
God,
actually feel
300
kind of bad.
views.
This
Ooh,
is like
what
a
the shit?
savage rhetorical beating
Buddy,
that
you
you've
get
received on this
300
day.
views, bro.
And
Yeah,
I'm
all the
sorry
rhetoric.
that you think
Ooh,
that
look
you
at
have
the
the
rhetoric.
rhetorical
Listen to the
stamina
rhetoric.
to try to
Listen to the
match me,
rhetoric.
but it's simply not going to
Listen to
happen.
the
I'm going to be
rhetoric.
able to
All the
outlast you on
rhetoric.
every
Ooh,
single
such good
point,
rhetoric.
and all you can do is
This
short
is real
circuit and
good
say,
rhetoric,
such
buddy.
good rhetoric, such good rhetoric. Yeah, glaze the
debate.
fuck out of me. I grant that you're
fucking
glazing the
stuttering.
fuck
You're
out of me. You're
stuttering.
allowed
Try
to.
again.
Yeah, you fucking throat
Get your
that hog,
validation,
bud.
buddy, from your 300 views. Go ahead. Get your validation.
Okay.
Okay, you done?
Yep.
All right. Now,
So
why
which
do I have
premise
to ask
do
a
you
woman for
reject?
consent? Go ahead.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, why do I have to ask a woman for their consent? Go ahead.
Yeah, and so far as not doing that would be a violation of their freedom and well-being.
Yeah, that's just going to be a construct that we created.
I don't
Now
grant
what?
that. No, rights
Okay,
are
why
objective.
don't you
I
grant
know that
it?
on the Christian worldview, rights are
Oh,
subjective,
you're
but on the
scared.
atheist
I'm not even
worldview, rights
actually
are
Christian. You're a
objective.
fucking dumbass. Try
Whoa,
again.
calm down.
I'm an
Deep breath.
atheist. Try again.
Whoa,
Now
you're not
what?
an atheist?
I am an atheist. Now what?
Oh, sorry, you're an atheist? Well, I only
Yeah.
debate Christians, so
Oh, you're
you gotta be a believer, unfortunately. Make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I also ask that you have some sort of argument or evidence for God's existence. Damn, that guy got beat the fuck up. Make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I also ask that you have some sort of argument or evidence for God's existence. Whoa, I see the Raziel person is in the comment section. Come on up, bud. Open invite. Hey, how's it going, friend? How old are you?
I'm 36.
Yep, and what religion are you?
Christian.
Sure. What makes you think God exists?
Well, you're making the claim.
Yeah. So
some
it's going
real
to be
simple
premise 1, change always existed. Premise 2, if change always existed, then time always existed. Premise 3, if time always existed, then it was never brought into existence. Premise 4, if it was never
do you
brought
know
into
premise 1
existence.
is
Whoa,
true?
calm down there. No need to be getting upset. Premise 4, if it was never brought into existence, then God never created it. Premise 5, if God exists, then God created time. Therefore, God doesn't exist. Which premise do you reject?
All of them.
You reject, for example, that if time was never
waiting
brought
for-
into existence, or that if time always existed, it was never brought into existence. You think that time
How
could
do you
have
know that?
time could have been brought into existence, but also always existed?
How do you know?
It's like a direct contradiction. Because if it
Wait,
was
you
brought
believe
into
in
existence, then
contradiction?
there's a state where it doesn't exist.
Wait,
If
wait,
it
you
always
believe in
exists, then
contradictions?
there can't be some state where it doesn't
believe in
exist. Do you
contradictions,
understand
Ian?
that a contradiction is when
Ian,
there's two
stop
like
talking. Do you
opposing
believe in
statements? Whoa,
contradictions?
just calm down there. There's no
just
need to be getting
particles in
upset.
motion,
Deep
dumbass.
breaths.
You're particles in motion.
Oh, what's the argument for
So
that?
does contradictions exist?
Sorry, what's the argument for that? I'm a
How do you know
Platonist. I don't know if you're aware of
contradictions
that.
How do you know contradictions exist?
I'm a Platonist. Because if contradictions didn't
Platonist.
exist, then there would be a contradiction in contradictions not existing.
Okay, so you believe in non-material things?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so you're not a fucking atheist.
No, that doesn't follow. I'm an atheistic
you could
Platonist.
totally. Yeah, in Platonism, the door is definitely left open for God.
Oh, what's the
So
argument?
you're saying God isn't real.
Actually, it's quite the opposite. You know, if Platonism is true, then God doesn't exist because God can't be the source of, for example, mathematical objects. Yeah, which premise do you reject, bud?
Show me how God isn't real.
I already showed it to you, but I grant
No,
because
you
you
gave
got
me a
slammed
bunch
so
of
hard you have a concussion,
premises.
which is why you don't remember the disproof.
No, you gave me a bunch
You're
of
still
mumbo
coping.
jumbo.
You sound upset. Calm down.
Yeah.
Do you want it like typed out for you? I can type it out for you.
Statements above your curly fucking head.
Whoa, calm
Read
down,
it.
bud. No need to be getting upset. I know that this is
Yeah,
an
you sound
emotional
like a
time
fucking
getting
girl.
blown the fuck out by like a
You sound
queer
like a
atheist.
fucking
You know,
girl, dude.
I understand that that's very upsetting for you. Just take a deep breath, calm the fuck down. It's really going to be
You
okay.
calm the fuck down.
He's so mad.
Yeah, you curly-headed idiot.
Existed. Premise 2. If change.
Okay, can you prove premise 1?
Yeah, easily.
How?
If change did not always exist, then a changeless state would change into a changing state.
Okay, and are you using
Whoa,
logic
calm
to
down
determine
there.
that?
No need to be getting this upset.
The number 1, are you using logic to determine that?
Yeah.
Can logic change?
Nope.
You fucking idiot.
I don't think logic can change.
Yeah, but you just said change always existed.
Yeah,
and
change
it's
always
universal. That's
existed.
your
It doesn't
premise
follow
one,
from
dumbass.
change always existing that everything
how can logic
changes.
stay-
You dumb
How can
fuck.
logic stay static?
Yeah, some things
in your
changed
changing world
and
view?
other things didn't change. But
Oh, so
change always
some things
existed
can
throughout all of
change.
this. You know, in this
okay.
constantly
Okay.
changing state, there are still nevertheless some things that are true. Like, for
okay.
example, the
Some
fact
things
that
never
change
change.
exists is always
Got
true. You
So your
stupid
worldview
idiot.
just got wrecked.
Oh, you think?
You're a fucking idiot.
Really? You think that
Yeah,
was like
just
a
fucking
W?
wreck me.
You think the idea, gosh, you know, you think some things change and other things don't change? What a contradiction. That's an obvious contradiction. You think
Your
you think
premise one
that
just
different
got
things can
destroyed.
have different properties? That's
I just showed
bullshit.
it- I
Are you
just showed you
kidding?
how premise
Are
one
you
got
okay? Are you
destroyed.
having like an aneurysm right this second?
Can you calm down?
Do you need like a caretaker? I can call
I
someone
wrecked
for
your
you if you need
premise
me to
one.
call someone for you. That was like an
Premise
abysmal
one just
tracking
got
failure
wrecked.
on your
Are
part.
you gonna handle that?
You know, some things can have properties
gonna
and then other
respond to
things
it
can
or
have
just
different
go?
properties. You know, for
you gonna
example, you know, I have the property of coming from my parents. You have the property of coming from your parents. And these are different properties. And, you know, nevertheless, the fact that two different things have two different properties isn't
How
a
does that explain
contradiction.
premise one?
You know, we don't all need to
seems
come
like a
from
bunch
your
of code. How does
parents.
that explain
Otherwise,
premise
there's like a
one?
contradiction. You know, that's a bit of
Explain
confusion
premise
on your
one.
part.
Bring up premise 1 and
Yeah,
explain it.
gladly. So, do you reject premise 1.1 or 1.2?
All of it. So
You reject
said
what you
logic
think
cannot-
changeless states change?
You think
You think
logic-
change occurs in a
you think-
changeless
you
state?
accept these
Holy
premises
shit,
and
dude,
think
he's
logic
contradicting
cannot
himself.
change?
This guy just said that change occurs in changeless states.
I didn't say shit. I just
You said you
that
rejected all of them.
premise
The
one
highlighted
is
premise
wrong.
is that changeless states do not change.
Premise
By
one is
rejecting
wrong,
that
and
changeless
everything is
states do
built
not
off of
change, you're
premise
saying
one,
that
idiot.
changeless states do change, that change occurs in changeless states. That's a contradiction.
Dude, you didn't even base ground logic.
Whoa, calm down there. What's your grounding for logic?
God. It comes
Sure.
from
And
God.
how does God ground logic?
Because he's eternal and never changing.
And how does that ground
the whole
logic?
point. Yes. Because otherwise logic would change in your universe.
Wait, sorry, but why does God
So,
being
no,
eternal
no,
and
no.
unchanging
You're
mean
an
that he's the ground of
atheist, and you're
logic?
just a bunch of particles in motion. Logic
And sorry,
just
do you think
changes
that
all the
grounding
time in
follows
your
logic?
stupid
That
universe.
grounding is a logical relation?
Yeah, logic has to be
Then
grounded.
that's a metaphysical circle that you just committed yourself to. Logic existed prior to logic existing.
Wait, you said logic doesn't change.
You just said that grounding is a logical
said logic
relation, but
doesn't
also
change
that
and you're
logic is
getting
grounded.
zero
So we're
evidence
going to
in
there's
your
going to be
worldview.
some state of reality pre the grounding of
Are we just
logic, wherein
supposed
it's
to
an
accept your
illogical state,
lies?
but then it still follows a logical relation.
Okay, so you want me to
Incoherent.
just assume the base brute fact that logic doesn't
No,
change? in your
no,
universe?
no.
Okay, then prove
Logic
it.
doesn't change because it's necessary.
It's
You know,
necessary. That's
if,
just the
for
same
example, if
saying
the
it's a
law of
brute fact.
non-contradiction was
Is that your
not
axiom?
true, well, then that would
Hey, Ian,
presuppose the law of
Is
non-contradiction,
it
which
your
is why
fucking
it's
axiom?
unchanging. Whoa, calm
Is it an
down.
axiom for
There's
you?
no need. It's not an axiom. I just demonstrated it.
You said it's necessary.
Yeah, because it's self-defeating to deny. Yeah. That's not an axiom,
it would
bud.
not be, because if logic weren't true, it wouldn't be self-defeating.
No, it would be self-defeating because in order to say that something's not the case, you presuppose logic. So to say that logic is not the case presupposes logic to deny logic, which is self-defeating.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Watch him like short circuit. Holy
You're
shit,
just
dude.
saying
Pull it
that
together.
Logic has to be the case. You're just asserting
Oh,
it.
no, I'm not. I'm saying that it's self-defeating to
Yeah,
deny
you are.
logic.
No, you're just saying
Yes.
it is the case.
That's not what I'm
where does
saying.
logic
I think,
exist in
and
the
if God
universe?
created you, why would He make your ears so fucking bad? Like you can't
Why
listen
would
properly.
he make your curl so fucking
What do you
gay?
think my argument is?
You don't have an argument. You just have a
So
bunch of
you weren't
quotes.
listening, is what it sounds like.
No,
What's
it
my
sounds like-
argument for the necessity
it
of the
sounds
law of
like I wrecked your
non-contradiction?
premise
What is
one and you
it?
couldn't
Did you
ever
listen?
fucking
Are you
deal from
remembering?
What's that side mouth you do? It's fucking ugly.
Oh, if
Is
God's
your
all
mouth
beautiful,
stuck
then
on
why would He make me
sideways?
so ugly?
I don't know. For us to
Oh
laugh at?
shit! So then the fact that I'm so ugly is evidence against the existence of God, something totally
it's actually
unaccounted for on
evidence
your
for God.
worldview. The fact that I'm ugly is such surprising evidence for your worldview that you can't even begin to explain it. All you can
So
do is
are
say,
you gonna
"I don't know.
prove your premise
I'm
when
not
you
sure. I don't know." You know, when
you
you
gonna
say
prove
"I don't
premise
know" to a
one?
question like that, it's evidence against your
Are you gonna
worldview.
prove
So you
premise
just
one or just
conceded
hope?
evidence against the existence
Are
of
you
God.
gonna prove premise
Oh,
one?
now he's floundering, fleeing away from his
No,
blunder.
you made the claim God isn't
Wait,
real.
sorry.
Prove
Why
it.
did God make me
You've
so
done
ugly?
zero
Just
to
answer the
claim it,
question.
buddy.
Is it just a brute
You've done
fact in your view?
zero
It's
to
just a
claim
brute
it.
fact that I'm ugly. You don't know?
It is a brute fact. You're ugly.
Sure. Oh, so then there are brute facts in your worldview.
But I want you to prove why God.
Sure. Wait. Do you concede that there are brute facts in your
See,
worldview?
you're trying to
Do you
pivot.
concede that there? You called me
You're trying to
ugly.
pivot 'cause you
This
lost
guy
that one,
bit
didn't
off too much than he could chew.
Dude, you
More than he
lost.
could chew by calling me ugly. You know, he wanted to
Dude, you
give the
lost.
insult, but he didn't actually want to
Yeah,
follow
you
up
are
on the
ugly.
insult.
Like,
If you want
let's
to call
move
me
back
ugly,
to
let's
God
talk
isn't
about how
real.
I'm ugly and how me being ugly is evidence against the existence of God. Or did you
Ugly
bite
'cause
off
no
more
girl
than
would
you
ever
can
fuck
chew?
buddy. That's why you're ugly.
Ooh, pivot away.
Women hate you.
Sure. Wait. So why did God design me this way?
Why isn't God real?
Why
You're
did God?
making
Oh,
the
because I'm ugly. If I'm
You
ugly,
made the claim.
you know, if God exists, then He would be 100%
I want
beautiful,
you to look up
and He would, of course,
right
have a
above your
desire for
curly
Himself, which
fucking
means
head.
that He would have 100% desire for beauty, which means
Right
that there
above
would be
your
no
curly
ugliness
fucking
in the
head. What does
world.
that
But I'm
statement
ugly,
read?
which means that
What does
God
the
couldn't
statement read
exist.
above your dumb fucking
There you
curly
go.
head?
Yep. So that's why God
What
doesn't
does it
exist.
read?
It's because there's a contradiction
real?
that there would be no ugly
it.
things, and yet I
Why would
exist.
contradictions
An
be a
ugly
problem
thing.
to an atheist?
Therefore,
Why would
God doesn't
contradictions be a
exist.
problem to an atheist?
Yeah, because the law of non-contradiction is necessary. To deny it would presuppose it,
And
which
you
is
believe in a
self-defeating.
law of non-contradiction? Who made this law?
The law of non-contradiction is just a necessary logical truth.
Oh, so an axiom. It's just
It's
necessary.
not an axiom. It's self-defeating
No,
to
laws
deny.
need
Keep up.
lawgivers, dummy.
No, they don't.
See, you have a bunch of
That's
actually
false.
faith and
You're a bit
dogmas.
confused here.
You have all these things you have to assume,
Nope, that's not
and
true.
you've never actually
Like
thought
what?
about them.
I just demonstrated it to you. But I know you want to run the
You just
script,
said
which
it
is
is.
why. Oh, sorry, wait.
Demonstrating it and saying it is.
And wait, would you mind repeating that?
God
Like, what did
is.
you just say?
God just is, buddy.
What did
God
you
is
just say?
necessary.
Oh, and how do you know that God
necessary.
just is?
Because I'm Ian.
And how do you know because?
My name's Ian. Whatever
And how
I
do you
say
know that
goes.
your name's Ian? How do you know?
Because I'm ugly too, like
And
you.
how do you know that you're ugly? How do you know that
Because
your
my
eyes
name's
function
Ian.
and that God isn't just deceiving you?
How do you know?
I'm asking, well, God isn't real, so that's
asking
how
how
I
you
know.
know.
Classic
Are
blunder. Now, how do you
familiar
know?
with Hume? Are you familiar with Hume?
Yeah, of course.
So he would actually destroy your atheist worldview.
Yeah,
right?
what argument
So
would he
you can't
make?
Trust your senses.
Sorry, what argument would he make?
That we can't make the.
That's the conclusion,
That
dumb fuck. What's the
induction is
argument?
problem. Yeah. That
You don't know the
induction
difference
cannot be
between a
grounded.
conclusion and an argument?
What are you talking about?
What are you
Talking
talking
about
about?
Hume.
It's like somebody hit the red reset button on the back of your head. You're like short
Well, you're
circuiting.
talking while I'm talking.
Yeah, what's the argument that Hume gave? You're about to state his conclusion. I'm already familiar with his conclusion. What's the argument?
Yeah, he was saying the problem of induction, that you can't actually trust your senses because you can't actually know if anything you see, touch,
Sure.
and measure is
And
real.
did you
right?
read the Bible with your senses?
Well, I believe my senses are valid because God exists. So I
And
think
sure,
it's
and how did you
necessary.
arrive at the conclusion
I'm
that God
asking
exists?
you in your worldview. Don't ask me
I
a
just asked
question
you, how do you
when
know
I
that
answer
God
your question.
exists? You
Don't
just made that
cope.
claim.
Don't cope.
Oh, he's running. He tried to make the claim,
we're
but then
talking
once
about
more he
Hume,
bit
you're
off more
trying
than
to
he can
pivot,
chew.
right?
Raziel,
how do
you
you
have
know
a
your
bad habit
senses
of committing
are
yourself
valid?
to propositions that
How
you're
do you know
totally
your
incapable of
senses are
defending.
valid, atheist? Answer the question.
Hmm?
Don't pivot.
Whoa, calm down. No need to get
don't
upset.
pivot. You do a lot of pivoting. I
Whoa,
noticed
no
that.
need to get upset. Just calm down.
Yeah, nah. Just answer a question. And I
What's
won't
your
be upset.
question?
How do you know your senses are valid?
And how do you know that that was your question?
I don't know.
Oh fuck! Wait, so you don't know that
must
that was your
believe it.
question? So you can't know anything in the Christian world, do you? You just
all you do
conceded.
is cope. Are you gonna answer?
You
a
just got
question or
beat
no?
the fuck down on your own
Are you
argument.
gonna answer?
This guy
the
has no
question or
idea
no?
why his senses are reliable.
Are
You
you
know,
gonna
asked
answer the
for
question
the
or
exact
no?
same questions that he wants to ask me, he has no answer to them. And
do you know
that's
your senses are
the
correct?
flimsiness of the
My
presuppositionalist
answer
argument.
exists and he
When you
grounds
turn the
logic, truth, and morality.
presuppositionalist framework
But you have
against them,
zero
they
grounding for anything you
scramble,
believe in, you
flail,
curly-headed
throw up.
idiot.
They can't
You're
keep
just a
up
low
with
IQ
the
fucking
exact
debater
arguments
on
that they make.
TikTok,
Calm down.
and I just
Your
fucking
good Christian
destroyed your
moral fruits are
premise.
showing, Raziel.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, Christians being scumbags is actually evidence for the non-existence
Oh, yeah,
of
'cause
God. You know,
atheists are
Jesus
such
tells
good
us
people. Dude, you
you'll
look
know
like
them
a
by their
fucking
fruits.
idiot. Your
So if we're going to
cult
know them by their
on here,
fruits, and your
just a
moral
bunch of
fruits are
fucking
bad, your moral
degenerates.
fruits are rotten,
All the
that's
atheists
evidence
get together on
against the
TikTok,
Bible.
or
I
like
don't
a
know if you're
fucking
aware of
Coke
that.
circle, where
Whoa,
they
just
talk
stop
about
crashing
unaliving
out. It's really going to be
themselves 'cause they
okay.
hate their lives so badly. Are you about to unalive yourself?
No. It sounds
Yeah,
like there's a
your
little
life
quiver in
looks
your
like it fucking
voice, like you're
sucks.
perhaps projecting onto me something.
Oh, did someone report me? One of your fucking cult members?
Whoa, calm down. I don't know what.
Okay, so are you gonna prove how your senses are
Whoa,
valid?
sorry. How do you know
Prove
that
to
that's
me
the
how your
question that you
senses
just
are
asked?
valid, or just shut the fuck up.
How do you know that that's the question that you just asked? Sure, actually,
Because
you know, I'll
that's-
do the one thing that you can't
I
do, which
believe
is
in
prove a
God.
position. So,
You don't believe in God.
oh, but why would believing in
So you
God?
have no
Why would believing in
epistemic
God mean that
grounding
your
for
senses are
anything you
reliable?
talk about. And
How do you
won't
know
answer
that
the
God
question.
didn't design
Look,
your senses to be unreliable
run,
for
Ian,
reasons that
run,
you couldn't
boy.
possibly
Run,
comprehend?
Ian. Run, Ian. Run, pony boy.
He's not going to answer the
Run from the
question.
question and pivot.
Pony boy, why? Because I'm shitting all over you?
No, you can't
Why?
answer a
Because I'm
question.
fucking
Every time I
stomping on
ask
you?
it,
Because you got
pivot.
completely trotted all
Every
over?
time I ask the
Is
question,
that
you
is that
pivot,
why?
'cause
Is
you
that
can't
is that how
answer
that
it
insult's
right.
supposed to work?
You can't answer
Because you
a
got
question,
like
so
you
you're
got
just
like
gonna
kicked with
pivot,
my
right?
hooves. Is that?
You can't answer the question.
Sure. Here's the evidence. If my senses weren't reliable, then external world skepticism would be true, but external world skepticism is false. Therefore, my senses are reliable. Which premise?
All of it. This fucking.
You reject
stupid.
that wait, you just rejected that external world skepticism is false. That means that you just committed yourself to external world skepticism. You just admitted that you don't know if anything external to you is true. What
No,
a
I
fucking
know it
crazy
because God
blunder.
exists
That's
to
like an
ground
insane
you.
blunder.
I
Holy
know
shit.
it, but
I
you
actually need to
can't.
type this
Do you know
out
what
so
an
that we
eternal
can appreciate how
criticism
big
is?
of a blunder this is. You
Do
actually
you
just
know
collapsed
what
yourself into a brain in a
internal
vat.
fucking
This is
critique is?
incredible. I'm actually so glad that we're doing the
Actually,
reading group
stop right
because
now and
people actually
Google it.
know what external world skepticism is and why that was such an insane blunder.
Nobody
If my
cares, dude. You're an
senses
idiot.
aren't reliable, then external world skepticism is true.
This is
External
actually what
world
you
skepticism
have to conclude as an atheist.
is false.
By the way.
Therefore, my senses are reliable. You said you rejected all of this. So you reject that external world skepticism is false, which means that you're saying external world
No, I believe
skepticism
in
is
God, so I
true.
believe all
No,
logic
you
and
just said that
truth
you
are
rejected
objective.
it. You said that
believe
you
in
said
God,
I
which
reject
is
all of it.
all-
Did you not? Or did you
Dude, you're
forget?
just
Have I
harping on
slammed
that
you so
because
hard
you
that you
know
have a
I got you.
concussion and you don't even remember what you said 5 seconds
no.
ago? Did you or did you not say that you rejected all of it?
What is your answer for this?
Did you
as
or
an
did you not
atheist?
say that you rejected
is your
all of it? Or
answer
do we
for
need to
this?
pull up
You're
the
still
replay
pivoting.
and listen back
still
to you
pivoting.
saying that you're a brain in a vat?
You're still pivoting.
You got
I believe
vatted.
in
He's
God, so
freaking
all
the fuck
logic
out
is
because he's
objective.
vatted.
I believe in
Let's
God.
listen
all
to the
logic is
replay.
objective through him, moron. Now, how do you?
Let's check out the
questions that he
replay.
wants
To
logic
ask
into
me,
a
he has no
worldview?
answer to them.
And
And
you know
that's
your senses are
the
correct.
flimsiness of
My
the
answer
presuppositionalist
is God
argument.
exists and he
When you
grounds-
do, which is
Okay,
prove a
you-
position. So,
You don't believe in God.
oh, but why would believing in
So you
God?
have no
Why would believing in
epistemic
God mean that your
grounding for
senses are
anything you
reliable?
talk about. And
How do you know
don't
that God didn't design your
Look,
senses to be unreliable
run,
for
Ian,
reasons that
run,
you couldn't
boy.
possibly
Run,
comprehend?
Ian. Run, Ian. Run, pony boy.
He's not going to answer the
Run from the
question.
question and pivot.
Pony boy, why? Because I'm shitting all over you?
No, you can't.
Why?
answer a
Because I'm
question.
fucking
Every time I
stomping on
ask
you?
it,
Because you got
pivot.
completely
Every
trotted all over
time
me?
I ask the
Is
question,
that
you
is that
pivot
why?
because
Is that
you
is
can't
that how that
answer it,
insult's
right?
supposed to work?
You can't answer
Because you got
questions,
like
so
you
you're
got
just
like
gonna
kicked with
pivot,
my
right?
hooves. Is that?
You can't answer the question.
Sure. Here's the evidence. If my senses weren't reliable, then external world skepticism would be true, but external world skepticism is false. Therefore, my senses are reliable. Which premise?
All of it.
He rejects that external world skepticism is false. So he's saying external world skepticism is true. He's saying that he can't even know that he has hands. that he doesn't even know that he has hands. That's what external world skepticism means. It means that you don't know anything about the external world. Brutal. What a brutal blunder. Anyway, make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. All right, let's read supers. I did not kick him. To be clear, yeah, I'll re-invite him back up.
Be wrong, right? But they usually go to Kingdom Hall or LPS.
You're back.
Yeah, so I think one of your co-members
He rejects that X.
Like
Whoa. Why can I hear something in the background?
Hold on.
He's gonna wax on, wax off in that debate, all right?
What is that? Can you hear me?
Going in, grabbing your hands, and thank you.
Why can I can also hear something in the background.
It's not letting me.
Thank you.
One of your co-members.
1 second.
Okay, well you need to. You gotta get rid of your background noise and like come back up or something. This is a reliable. Which premise? Okay, so this is approximately like 51 minutes. Okay, where is he? Okay. Did you or did you not say that you rejected all of them?
Wait, what?
Did you or did you not say that you rejected all of them?
In your worldview, yes.
Sorry, I'm asking you, which of those premises couldn't be true in my worldview?
No, they couldn't be.
Why? Why not? What's the argument for that?
Put it back up.
You don't even remember the premises that you're saying couldn't be true. You're not even listening.
Well, no, because nothing.
And this is what you're doing. You're like reactively saying no, which is why you did such an insane blunder that you're still recovering from, scrambling to try to arrive at like some sort of logical foundation to when you've just kneecapped yourself. It was brutal.
I'm gonna speak.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, which of these premises couldn't be true in my worldview?
Well, you don't know that external world skepticism is false.
Oh, I do.
And in fact, you can't actually make sentences without having logic grounded in your worldview.
Why not?
Right?
Well,
Because
also, first of all, logic is grounded in my worldview. Logic is grounded in difference itself.
It is not grounded.
Oh, it
in
is.
your worldview. No,
But it is.
No, it is not.
Unfortunately, saying it's not grounded doesn't actually make it so.
Just saying it is grounded doesn't make it so. You didn't give any proof.
Oh, the proof is that logic comes from difference itself, that if you have two things that are different, then the one thing is not the other, and it's false to say that it is, which necessitates the law of non-contradiction and the law of excluded middle.
Things are always changing.
It's an extension.
Yeah, you have this unchanging logic.
Some things are always changing, but not everything is always changing. I tried to explain this to you earlier, but you're so emotional that I think it went through one ear and out the other.
Does it exist in the material universe you perceive?
No.
Okay, where does it exist?
In the Platonic realm?
Where does the Platonic realm exist?
Well, that's a category error. The Platonic realm isn't in space. It's like asking, where does God exist? Where does God exist?
Give me justification. So
where does God exist?
It's just bullshit, right? Unless you
okay, so then to be clear, when the exact same standard is turned against him, his worldview crumbles, and the way that he's accusing my worldview of crumbling.
Santa's workshop, right? But that doesn't exist. So just
Santa's workshop is allegedly at the North Pole, so you could just go visit the North Pole.
Show me. Don't tell me.
So the laws of logic are necessitated by difference itself.
No, show me.
Show you? You want like empirical proof?
Where logic exists.
You want empirical proof? I'm not an empiricist.
Well, you're saying God isn't real, and you're
Do you think that you could think that
right?
God isn't real and then like not be an empiricist? Is that like too confusing for you? I'm sorry if I'm not the atheist that you wish you were debating. Unfortunately, my positions are the things that I'm telling you. You know, I wish for you that you had like an easier atheist to debate, that you didn't need to get chewed up by me, but instead this is the circumstance that we find ourselves in.
You didn't chew anyone out.
You
So,
got the
can
fuck kicked
provide
out of you,
any
to be
proof
clear.
for your
Like, I
platonic
actually
love?
highly recommend you should go back through the YouTube video and watch the comments in the side chat and look at them like viciously mocking you this entire
Dude, why
time.
would I care
You
what
got
a
the
bunch
fuck
of
kicked out of
atheists
you,
think?
to be clear.
They get together in like coping circles and talk about
Oh, yeah?
unaliving.
What's one
on
argument that
TikTok.
you think you did well on?
Where I wrecked your premise 1, I said.
And
logic
what
cannot
was
be
premise
grounded.
1? What
You
was it?
Still have not provided.
Which was
logic
premise 1? Do you even
grounding, right?
remember?
No, you'd have to pull it back.
Oh, fuck. Oh, no. I did really well in destroying premise 1. I have
have
no
it written
idea what
down. I
premise
don't
1
have
even
it written
is.
down.
Damn, that's brutal. Like, seriously, like, why would you try to pretend like you did well and then you can't even talk about the section that you think you did well on? Like, genuinely, like, this is
Just reading
humiliating.
it, I could destroy
I
it,
actually feel like kind of
intuitively.
bad for doing this on account of how embarrassing this is for you.
I feel bad for your ear shape, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, we can
Now,
just go back
let's
to the
get
argument
the
that wrecked you
fucking
earlier.
argument, right?
You know,
You're
why
still
would God make
pivoting.
me so
You
ugly?
pivot every time we
If
start getting close
You
to the
called me,
answer,
you
right?
said my ear shape is ugly. That's inconsistent with God's existence. I'm sorry. You know, if God's all beautiful, then God will perfectly will for the beautiful, which means
Wait,
that
are you
all that
gonna
will
prove
exist
it
is the
platonic
most
realm?
beautiful possible world, which means that there wouldn't be
keep
ears
coping.
like mine because
Keep
God would only
coping.
make beauty.
Yeah, cope more. So, you ready?
Oh, he doesn't like the logic.
Are you ready?
So wait, sorry, what of what I just
Prove
said
the
do you
platonic
reject?
realm to
Do you
me.
reject that God would will only a beautiful world?
I reject the platonic realm.
Sorry, so do you reject that God would
This
will a
made-up
beautiful
bullshit that
world?
you
Do
came
you
up
reject
with?
that?
The made up bullshit.
It's a
the
yes or a no
platonic realm?
question.
Can you prove it?
Yeah, I guess I'll let you pivot away from this one, even though you wanted
No,
to throw out
that
the
was what
insult
we
and then
were
you got kneed in the
talking
fucking nose
about.
immediately, right? Like you want to
That's
make
what
fun of
we
my
were
ear
fucking
shape
talking
while
about.
having an actively
Prove
broken
the
nose because you got beat the
platonic
fuck down immediately.
realm.
Like I just don't know why
a
somebody
yes
with a
or
voice
no.
like yours would be talking shit about other people's appearances.
Can you fucking prove it or
Can
no?
you fucking prove it? That's what you sound like, by the way. I don't know if you're aware of that.
It sounds exactly how you sound.
Oh yeah, you think?
Yeah, you look like you have some sort of disease.
You should actually go back and like re-listen to this to see like the stark contrast between our two voices. You know, my voice flows like butter. Your voice
No,
flows
dude, I
like
don't
shards
think
of glass.
Anyone would describe your voice as flowing as butter.
Yo, do you want to get the poll and just see who people's
what, like
voice
all your atheist
is like
buddies
more
care?
preferable?
Yeah, all your atheist buddies donate to this channel. Who cares what
Oh
they think?
gosh,
You're in
his
a
voice went up an octave. He's insecure. He doesn't like having his voice talked about
that's like saying,
because
like,
it
oh,
sounds like
yeah,
a fucking
my cult
cat
agrees
is like
with me, bro.
scratching their claws
Yeah, Michael,
against a
are you gonna answer the
chalkboard. It
question or
sounds like
no?
both like high pitched, but also like monotone. It's like an atrocious voice. I'm so sorry, dog. I actually think
Are
that
you
that's
gonna
really
answer
good
the
evidence that
question or
God
no?
isn't real. The fact that your voice is like so fucking unbearable is exactly what we would expect under naturalism. But it's really surprising that God would design you and make you an apologist for
It's all
his
logical.
mission and give you a voice
So you don't
that
have
sounds
the
as
fucking
bad
answer,
as much like auditory diarrhea
on
as
the
yours
platonic
does. Like
realm,
it's genuinely
and now you're
painful to
fucking going
listen
on this
to.
big
You know,
tangent.
if you're thinking like, damn, why am I so single? You know, why don't they call me back after the first date? It's because, you know, prior to the first date, you can talk to them just through text, but after the first date, they know what you sound like. I'm sorry, dog. Somebody had to tell you.
Dude,
Oh,
you're
he's
so
mad
fucking
too.
brilliant.
Gosh, that one really got under his skin.
All right. Are you gonna answer a question or no?
Yeah, what
'Cause
question do you want answered?
Can you prove the platonic realm to me?
Yeah, easy. Premise
ahead.
1, if mathematical objects exist, then they exist necessarily. Premise 2, all possible
I
mathematical
reject
objects
premise 1.
possibly exist. Therefore,
premise 1.
all possible mathematical objects necessarily exist.
See, that's bullshit.
Which premise do
Because
you
you have to
reject?
assume the axiom of premise 1.
Oh, sorry, there's no axiom in premise 1. Premise 1 is
That they would
justified in
exist
virtue of the fact that
necessarily?
if they existed contingently, then
know
there would be
that?
true mathematical facts in all worlds that would be true, which means that they would actually be necessary. So it's an impossibility,
would
it's a
you know
direct
if they would
contradiction
have
for
to
them
be
to exist
necessary?
contingently, which
You're
is
just
why
saying
if
they
they
would have to
exist,
be.
they must exist
You're just
necessarily.
saying that.
I just gave you the proof for it.
No, that's not proof. That's just you saying
You don't think
they have to
a
be
proof by
necessary.
contradiction is a proof?
You don't have contradiction in your worldview even.
I agree, right? All the contradictions are in your worldview.
No, you don't believe in them. You can't
Yeah,
ground
you're right.
logic.
You're right about that. You know, I don't think contradictions are true.
No,
You know,
your
you believe
worldview's
in
full of
contradictions. You know, I don't believe in
Like, for
contradictions.
example, how like consciousness can come from matter, right? But you're
Oh,
a Platonist, which
I'm
is
a
even more
Platonist.
of
I think you're a bit
bullshit.
confused.
Yeah, no one believes in Platonism, bro.
I do.
But you're no one. You're just an idiot.
Aw. Damn. Well, I guess no one believes in it, therefore it's false, huh? Those are like the good logical Christian arguments, you know. Nobody believes what you believe, therefore it's false. Brutal.
Did you give a single proof?
Yeah, I just gave you one.
No, that wasn't a proof.
It was. Sorry.
That was just a bunch of axioms.
It wasn't a bunch of axioms.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Because you can't prove that it's necessary, right?
Well, I just did. If mathematical objects existed contingently, then in all possible worlds there would be truths about the number of worlds in which they exist, which means that they would exist necessarily.
If in that
because they would exist in all possible worlds.
If I reject the if.
For which one?
Right. The premise one. Of the
For
one you just
if
said.
mathematical
You remember,
objects
buddy?
exist, then they exist necessarily?
Try to keep up.
You're saying that you reject that mathematical objects exist?
You'd have to show that they exist.
You have like 30 IQ points. It's an if-then
You'd have to
statement,
show
you know.
that they exist.
And that's like that's
How
called
can
a
you trust
conditional. I know
yourself?
you don't know what a
You're
conditional
making a
is
bunch
because
of
you don't know the first thing
assumptions.
about logic, but it's saying
No,
if mathematical objects exist,
You haven't
then
proven
they
it.
exist necessarily.
You haven't
You know,
proven it. So
it
you
doesn't need to be
require
true.
me
The if
to
part of the
grant
if-then
you all
statement
these
doesn't need to be
assumptions
true in order for the
so that you can
if-then
sit there
statement to
and
be
argue
true.
against
You know,
God.
it's not
But you
raining
have all these
currently,
fucking
but if it
dogmas
were
because
raining,
you're
then it would be
low
wet
fucking
outside.
IQ
Is still a
atheist.
true statement. I'm sorry that you're so mad at logic. I think your head might just be hardened against atheism.
No, you have to use logic for that statement, which you haven't proven yet.
Oh,
'Cause you were
well,
saying
do you want me
logic
to
is
prove
different
logic?
from
Because
Platonic.
now you're pivoting. The first thing you asked me to do was to demonstrate the
said-
existence of the Platonic realm, which
Yes,
I'm
because you said logic
glad and happy to
existed
do
in it,
that.
right?
And
Shut
then
up. It's
you're now
because you
pivoting
said
to saying
logic
prove logic,
existed
prove
in the
logic.
Platonic
Glad to
realm.
prove logic too,
You
but this
said
is a
logic
pivot. Whoa,
existed
stop
in the
whining,
Platonic
stop
realm, you
crying,
idiot.
stop bloviating, stop
Can you
throwing a
listen to
fit,
me
stop
for a
having a
second? Listen
tantrum,
up.
stop melting down, stop crashing out.
Why
Calm
did we
down.
bring up the
It's gonna be
Platonic
okay.
realm? Why did we
Sorry,
bring it up?
I'm sorry that the argument blew up in your face. I'm sorry you got skewered by it. That's not my
No,
problem.
you're just running. I caught you.
Oh, on what?
What did we talk? Why did you? Bring
What?
up
What?
the
It, what?
Platonic realm?
What?
Why? Why
He's
did
like
you
short
bring it up?
circuiting. Holy shit.
Why did you bring it up?
Why did we bring that up? Because you wanted me to prove Platonism.
No, I asked you where
You
logic
didn't
exists,
ask me to
and you
prove the
said
Platonic realm. You
logic
didn't
exists
ask
in the
that.
Platonic
Let's go back into the
realm.
replay and show him asking that.
Yeah, all of it. That's fucking where we were.
And
You know your
that's
sense-
the octave. He's insecure. He doesn't like having his voice talked about
That's like saying,
because
like,
it
oh,
sounds like
yeah,
a fucking
my culture
cat is like
believes in
scratching their claws
Yeah, Michael,
against a
are you gonna answer the
chalkboard. It
question or
sounds like
no?
both like
It sounds like a
high
bunch of your
pitched,
quotes.
but also like monotone. It's like an
why did you
atrocious
bring up
voice.
the
I'm so
Platonic
sorry,
realm?
dog. I actually think
Are
that
you
that's
gonna
really good
answer
evidence
the
that God isn't real. The fact that your voice is like so fucking unbearable is exactly what we would expect under naturalism. But it's really
It's
surprising
just a
that God
bunch
would
of
design you
your
and make you an
fucking
apologist for his
focus on
mission and give you a voice
You don't
that
have
sounds
an
as
answer.
much like auditory diarrhea as yours does. Like it's genuinely painful to listen to. You know, if you're thinking like, damn, why am I so single? You know, why don't they call me back after the first date? It's because, you know, prior to the first date you can talk to them just through text, but after the first date they know what you sound like. I'm sorry, dog. Somebody had to tell you. Oh, he's mad too. Gosh, that one really got under his skin.
All right, are you gonna answer a question or no?
Yeah, what question do you want answered?
Can you prove the Platonic realm to me?
So that's exactly what you asked for.
No, but you have to go.
Damn,
back
he got beat the
before
fuck
that.
up.
No,
I didn't ask for
you
the Platonic
just-
realm. Well, I
because
did
you've
ask
been
for the
asking
Platonic
about it for a
realm,
fucking hour.
but it needs contact. He's freaking out now. Holy shit,
No,
dude.
no.
His voice like raised 3 octaves just now.
Because you won't shut up and let me fucking
He's
speak.
freaking out. Holy shit, dude. Blown the
I
fuck
asked you
out.
where
Like
logic
genuinely
exists.
Raziel, you know, I wish that you had better ears, you know.
Genuinely,
Maybe
I
God
wish
could have
you
given
would
you the
fucking
ugly
listen,
ears, but at least they
because
would
I
function
fucking destroyed you.
such that you can listen
Your
and not
fucking chimp
humiliate
ears
yourself in the
are
way that
not
you just got
listening.
humiliated.
Hey,
Because
use your
that was
chimp
fucking
ear.
brutal.
Use your chimp ears and listen. I asked you where logic exists. Do it. I asked you where logic exists. You said the Platonic realm.
Yep.
That's why that was brought up.
Yep.
So why are you coping?
Well, because specifically I proved the Platonic realm. You asked
did
me,
not.
you said
You
you
did
didn't
not
ask
prove
me to
the
prove the
Platonic
Platonic
realm,
realm.
because you don't
You
have
did ask me
logic
to
to
prove
prove
that.
it.
The replay shows you
You have to
asking me to
prove
prove
logic
that.
first to
I'm
prove the
sorry that you're
Platonic realm,
delusional.
you
I'm sorry
idiot.
that you can't listen. I'm sorry that you have like 3 brain cells that you share
Let
with
me
the
ask
other
you one more
presuppositionalists, and it's not your
Let me
turn to
ask you
hold
one
on to
more
the brain
question, and
cells.
then I
You know,
promise
I'm sorry that your voice
we'll
sounds
just
the way
end
that
it
it does,
because
and it
it's going
automatically
nowhere.
kneecaps your ethos, making all of
Let
your
me ask
points
you
like
one
instantly
question.
unpersuasive. You know, I'm sorry that your parents didn't, you know, show enough
Are you just
interest in
gonna
your
keep coping?
education.
Are you
I
just gonna keep
apologize.
coping? Can you let me ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Do you need logic to prove the Platonic realm?
Yeah.
So that's fucking circular, you
No, it
dipshit,
isn't.
monkey-eared
Because,
idiot.
whoa, calm down there. Because the rejection of logic itself is self-defeating.
No,
Yes.
you just think that.
Sorry, so would you say, like,
That's
if logic
just your
didn't
answer.
exist, it would not be the case that it exists?
We don't know if it exists in your worldview, right?
But, and you don't know that?
In
When you
your
say
worldview,
no, what do you
would
mean by
not
that?
know that.
And what do you mean by
No,
no?
you're just particle
What's your account
motion.
of no?
You brought up the whole Platonist shit.
What's your
and I
account of
said,
no?
prove it.
Oh, fucking
Prove
run
any of
away.
it.
Yeah, he's running away. You just used a
do you mean?
term.
I'm
What's
still
your
here.
account of it?
What?
No.
I wasn't listening.
I grant that. You can't listen. It's because your beautiful looking ears actually don't
Use your
work,
monkey ears to
unfortunately.
fucking listen to
Whoa,
me.
calm down. No need to be getting upset. Deep breath.
Deep breath too. You just got bodied.
Do you think between the two of us that I'm the one that sounds upset right now?
Logic required to
So
prove
it's
the
like
Platonic
pretty
realm?
straightforward.
Or are
You know,
just gonna say
logic can't be
is
denied
logic?
because to deny logic, you'd be saying that logic is not the case. But if you commit
Okay,
yourself
so
to saying
we
that
got
something is
your,
not the
we got
case,
your
you
sky daddy,
presuppose
okay?
that there are some
Your
things that
sky
are the
daddy
case
is
and some
just
things that are
logic.
not the case, which
Your sky
itself
daddy is just
necessitates the
saying
law of
logic is the
non-contradiction.
case with no fucking proof.
Oh, I
That's
just
your
proved
sky
it.
daddy. That's your dogma.
Oh, I just
This
proved
is the
it.
dogma of the
I'm
atheist
sorry that you don't
fucking
like it. I
cult
just
you got
proved it,
going on here.
unfortunately.
You didn't prove it.
I just did. Wait, can you
Yeah.
summarize back to me what I just said?
You need logic to prove logic.
Can you summarize back to me what I just said?
Do you need
Can you
logic
summarize
to prove
back to me what I
logic?
just said, or were you not listening?
Do you need logic?
Do you want an answer to the question?
What you gave me was
Do
circular.
you want an answer to the question, or do you want to freak the fuck out more?
Answer the question, but don't cope.
Whoa, do you want to
get
answer
it.
my question first? What did I just say? Or were you not listening? Or
Ask
did
it
God
again.
not give you the ears that work? So instead, all you do is get beat
No,
the fuck
because
up,
you won't
blown the
answer
fuck
my
out,
question.
folded like a chair,
You just
scrambled like
hit
an
it with
omelet,
your
reformatted
fucking
like a hard
question,
drive, beaten down on every single
gonna answer
dog
my
shit
question
point
if
that you
I
try to
answer yours?
raise.
Okay, let's do this. I'll answer one, you answer one.
Yeah, sure. So my question is, what did I just say? What was my proof for the law of non-contradiction?
That if you deny it, it's a contradiction, right?
That you would need to presuppose it to deny it.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, you would. You're saying that you would not need to do it? That's the not operator, big dog. When you say you would not need to do it, that already presupposes the law of non-contradiction because you're presupposing the not operator. You just demonstrated my point for me. Every time you say not, that's the law of non-contradiction presupposed.
You just think that logic can be proved by logic?
No? I think that
That's
you
what
can
you just said,
demonstrate
yeah. That's a
the
circular
boundaries
fucking
of
argument.
logic by demonstrating what
It's
is
circular,
incomprehensible. It's not circular.
circular. Yes, it
Transcendental
is.
arguments are not circular. You're confused.
It's totally circular.
So you think saying like you need to
Transcendental
presuppose,
arguments
for
are
example,
circular.
you know, how do you prove that you have beliefs without,
you don't
you know,
think
anything that
transcendental
you
arguments are
believe?
circular? You don't think transcendental arguments are
No,
circular?
why would they be?
That's fucking stupid.
What's the argument that they are?
Literally all atheists bring this up all the time against tag.
Sure, wait, let me so I have the conclusion here is going to be, of course, all transcendental arguments
But are you
are
using
circular,
logic to
and then we
write
have
this?
premise one is all atheists claim
And I want the idiot
that
atheist in the
they're
in the
circular,
comments to
and then what's premise
think
two?
about, is he using logic to write this
Is
out?
he using logic to write these down? And then premise three?
Oh, you're gonna do the same thing the other guy you did to the other guy?
I just want
This
to
is
know,
what you
so
do
what's
when
your
you start
argument that all
losing at it.
transcendental arguments are circular?
Hey, put down Ian has monkey ears.
Put down Ian has monkey ears.
Therefore,
premise
Ian
four?
idiot. Therefore, Ian idiot.
Therefore,
Ian wrong.
he's an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, a couple more times.
Hey, can I ask you a quick question about God and like the grounding of logic?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just gonna ask. Can you name two inference rules?
Nope.
Oh, fuck. Well, it sounds like you don't know the first thing about logic.
Yes, I do.
Then name one
God.
inference rule.
Comes from God.
What do you think an inference rule is?
where you don't
He has no clue. Oh boy. Holy shit. Could you, like, do you know what modus ponens is?
Oh, are you gonna do a pop quiz on me?
Yeah. What's modus ponens? Do you know? You don't know the first thing about logic. This is actually like really embarrassing because modus ponens is like, it's like the foundational component in logic is modus ponens. And the fact that you don't know it means that you don't know the first thing about logic. Like seriously, if you picked up like a textbook in discrete math, the very first section would be modus ponens. By the way, it's P therefore Q, therefore Q.
Okay.
By the way.
And how does this help you?
Because what that does is give you like a slight education about the topic that you've been trying to talk about.
So you're pivoting again.
No.
Yeah,
it's relevant. You want to talk about logic, but you know nothing about it.
Just because I don't know the specific modus ponens doesn't mean I can't brachial logic, which I just did, right?
Sure. How does God know that he's all-knowing?
You have to assume logic.
Sure. And how does God know that I would have to assume logic?
How does God know?
Yeah.
God knows all things.
And how does he know that he knows all things?
Well, I don't know about God.
Sure. And how does God know that you don't know?
Are you a judge?
How does God know? Are you a judge?
Ian, are you a judge?
Look how quickly the presuppositionalist nonsense fell apart. He literally can't answer the question. Wait, so is it just a brute fact that God knows things?
I don't know everything in the mind of God.
Sure. So it's a brute fact in your view that God knows things.
Wait, do you know?
So it is a brute. Well, God doesn't exist is my answer.
Wait, do you know?
So it is a brute fact to be clear.
Access to these universals,
well, my answer to this is just that God doesn't exist. But to be clear, you don't know how God knows things.
You haven't even grounded logic.
To be clear, you don't know that how God knows things. Is that correct? You have no clue?
Are you going to ground logic or no?
And how do you know that I haven't grounded logic yet?
You haven't.
And how do you know that?
You just said it isn't.
And how do you know that? How do you know that's what I just said?
I don't believe in your worldview.
How do you know that you don't believe in my worldview?
Logic is subjective and comes
how do you know that logic is subjective in my worldview? How do you know?
Without a God,
how do you know that without a God there is no logic? How do you know that?
You're just coping.
How do you know that I'm just coping? How do you know?
Because I can tell you're smiling.
And how do you know that you can? Oh, so he can just tell that's circular. I could just tell. Well, buddy, if you can just tell, well, then I can just know things. You know, I'll give the circular justification for my knowledge claims too, just like you just gave a circular justification for your knowledge claims just now. That's what you just said. You know, you just know. So that's fine. Then I'll just know.
And the Platonic realm just is.
Yeah, exactly. You just know. God just knows. You know, the Platonic realm just is. What's your problem with that?
I think we got into,
you can't have a critique with me saying the Platonic realm just is because you think God just knows.
Presuppositions. You can't prove any of them.
You presuppose that God knows things. You can't prove that.
You have to use Christian values to argue against God, right?
Ooh, sorry. Do you want to get the fuck beat out of you on the morality discussion too?
Sure.
Yeah. Why ought I do what God tells me?
Because God made you.
And why does God making me mean that I ought do what he tells me?
Because you should. He told you to.
That's circular. I ought because I should.
Sure, and at the meta level, all things become circular.
Oh, fuck. Oh, great. Oh, sure. Then logic exists because it just does, and knowledge exists because it just does, and you know, rape is bad because it just is.
No, rape is bad because it's against the law of God.
Oh, and where does it say that? Which verse?
Well, it's just, I don't know the verse.
Another presuppositionalist that's never opened the Bible. Let's read a verse. Deuteronomy, unmarried.
Actually, I'd rather talk about your fucking presuppositions.
Sure.
Here.
Let's read Deuteronomy 22:28-29, where God gives laws that say that you actually can rape people, and then they have to get married to you.
Okay, and what's the problem with that?
So the Christian just bites the bullet. There's nothing wrong with rape in your worldview. So anybody thinking about converting to Christianity, this guy just demonstrated that rape is totally fine in his worldview. This guy has no problem with rape, apparently. Holy shit, dude. Are you fucking good? Holy fuck, that was embarrassing.
Why is that a problem in your worldview?
Why is it a problem in yours?
It's not.
It's not. So rape is not a problem in your worldview.
No. Why is it in your
You're
worldview?
a disgusting fuck, dude. You just said there's nothing wrong with rape in your view. Oh my God, dude.
say rape
Anybody
on this
considering
platform?
converting to Christianity, by the way, this is what you have to look forward to.
No,
You'll
but
be
you
like, this
have
guy saying
no-
there's nothing wrong with
Why
rape.
ought-
This guy,
why
whoa,
is
calm
rape
down.
bad
He's
in your
freaking out.
worldview?
When
You're
the
just gonna
dumb
go
fuck
out and
thing
now
that
you're
he
gonna
just
go
said
on
gets
it
said
for-
back to him, he
Yeah,
realized how fucking
Spurgadian.
stupid it was, which is
Yeah,
why he's freaking the fuck out
Spurgadian.
now. You know, now his
Spurgadian.
voice is racing
Yeah,
and
you're
he's,
gonna
you know,
fucking
trying to
keep
call me
talking.
words to get me upset when in fact
Keep
he's
fucking talking,
furious. He
Spurgadian.
doesn't know what the
Your
fuck to
autism
do.
is flaring
All
up,
he can
buddy.
do is freak the fuck
Your
out and
autism
get
is
beat the
flaring
fuck
up.
down every time he does.
Your
You know,
autism is
every
flaring
time.
up.
Oh,
Now
he's
calm
short
down.
circuiting. Your autism is flaring up. Your autism is flaring
Can
up.
I
Your
ask you a
autism's
question?
flaring up. Your autism's flaring up. Your autism's flaring up. Your autism's flaring. That's literally what your
Can
voice
I
sounds
ask you
like,
a
by the way. It's
question?
grating. It's horrible. It's
Can I
awful. I
ask you a
can't believe God
question?
would give you that voice. If God exists, what you should ask him when you're at the pearly gates, you should ask him, God, why the fuck did you give me this voice? How was I supposed to win souls with a voice like
You
this?
think your
It
voice
sounds
is
so
good.
bad, God. Like, how would I supposed to win souls with this voice,
You
God?
think
Like,
your
why
voice
would
is
you,
good?
why would you do this to me,
You literally
God?
sound like you're
There's nothing
fucking
wrong with
anemic,
rape, by the way.
autistic
There's
kid.
no issue with it. That's what you sound like,
You
unironically.
sound like an anemic autistic kid, bro.
I was
Now,
doing
are
an
you gonna
impression,
answer my
an
question or
impression
no?
of you. So if that's what I sound like,
Why
well,
is
we have a
rape bad in your
bit of an
worldview?
issue. But also, you think I'm
Ian, are
anemic?
you
You
gonna
think I'm
answer a
skinny?
question? Ian, are you gonna answer a question? No, I said anemic, you moron.
Oh, maybe I'm a.
Yeah, you
Is
need
that
some
is that not the one
sunlight.
I'm thinking of?
Bulimia is what you're thinking of, you fucking low IQ
Fuck.
retard.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you're a fucking dipshit. So.
Oh
you're
yeah,
gonna
sure
ask
it
a
is.
question, why is rape bad in your worldview?
Oh yeah, because it's not bad on yours. Yeah, it's because it violates people's rights to freedom and well-being.
What rights?
The outward-facing claim that everybody has in virtue of being an agent.
Oh, everyone has rights?
All agents.
All agents have rights? How do you know that?
Yeah, because I'm an agent. What that means is that I take actions to achieve goals. In order to take any action to achieve any goal, I would need my freedom and well-being, which means I need for you to not interfere with it, which means I'm making an outward-facing claim.
You're assuming you're an agent. And you're
Well,
assuming
I would
you
need to use my
have the
agency to deny my
necessary-
agency.
No, you think that you.
And
require
sorry, did you
rights?
just use your agency to
So
affirm that?
rights are one of these things
Did
that
you
atheists
did you
just
use
assume,
your
right?
agency to affirm that I'm not an agent?
Well, I believe in God, so I
Did
have
you use your
agency.
agency to affirm that you believe in
In
God?
an internal critique
Did
of your
you did you
worldview, there
use
is
your
no
agency
agency.
to say that it's an
There
internal
is no
critique?
agency in your worldview.
Did you use your agency to say that there's no agency in my worldview?
Sideways mouth, fucking autistic.
Did you
Yeah.
use your agency to say that I have a sideways mouth and say that I'm fucking autistic?
Yeah, but I believe in
Oh
agency.
sure, fuck, he cooked himself. So sure. So actually agency does exist and it's impossible to escape. Double
It
you
is
fucking
not.
concession,
No,
by the way.
no.
You got boiled again.
No. Hume would
Yes, yes,
actually
yes.
disagree with you, right?
Yes. And is Hume using his agency to disagree with me?
He might be, who knows? But in
Oh
your
sure,
worldview,
then
you
agency
can't know.
exists. Glad we
In
agree.
your worldview, you cannot know that.
Sorry, in order to determine whether or not I have agency, I would need to use my agency. So in order to ask the question, do I have
rights are one of
agency,
these,
I would
like,
need to use my agency,
rights are
which
one of these
automatically
things that
answers the
atheists just make
question.
up,
So actually,
So
agency
you
is
claim
inescapable,
rights,
I fear.
Right? You claim rights for rape?
A right against
But these
rape,
rights
unlike
are just
you.
made up.
You're totally fine
Anyone
with
can
rape,
just
as you just
redefine
said.
them, right?
Rape is
What
bad on
right
my
are you talking
worldview.
about?
And I'm sorry that
Are
rape
these
is
rights
okay on your view.
objective?
I'm sorry that your
Were
view
the
provides
rights
you
exist, Ian?
nothing, no
Ian,
reason to
where did the
object to
rights
rape.
exist?
I'm sorry that you had to bite the
Ian.
disgusting, grotesque fucking
Ian,
bullet
stop
that's going to live on
talking.
YouTube
Where
forever,
did
by
the
the way.
rights
This is
exist?
going to get posted on
All you
YouTube.
do-
The opening
all
clip
you
is
do
going to
is
be you
fucking
saying that there's
pivot.
nothing wrong with rape, just so you know.
All you do is pivot.
Is your name Raziel? Is there a... I wonder if there's any pictures of you. We'll put you in the thumbnail.
You're really mad, aren't you?
Do you think
All
between
right,
the two of
so
us I
why
sound
is
mad?
rape-
You
why is
stumbled over
rape
your
bad?
words, you paused, you realized how fucking bad that would be,
Why
and you're
is
like
rape
shuddering.
Hi, how old are you?
Oh, I'm not stealing content. I'm not stealing content.
Why is rape bad in your worldview?
I already told you.
No, you made up a bunch of bullshit about rights.
You couldn't
that
reject
also
any
have
of
not
them.
grounded.
You tried to reject them and you proved
have
my
not
point.
Proven rights. You haven't proven rights.
I did. Sorry.
No, you didn't.
I did. Sorry.
No, when did you prove rights exist?
Just now. Did somebody factory reset you? Is that what you don't remember?
No, you gave me a really bad argument.
And what was your critique of it?
Premise one, you don't know that.
I do know that. Because in
And
order to
premise two.
express
Oh,
that I
give
don't
me
know that, I
premise
would need to
two
use
real
my
quick.
agency
Hey,
to express that fact.
Ape ears, give me premise two real quick.
Oh, sure. So now that you're conceding premise one, if I'm an
No, I'm
agent,
not.
then I take actions to achieve goals.
No.
Yes.
You don't know that you're an agent.
Oh, sorry. Wait.
Right.
So you wanted to move from premise 1 to premise 2.
so
You got beat the fuck down on
Ian,
premise
are
1.
there
So
fucking
you wanted to
people
move to
called
premise 2.
determinists in
Got
this
beat the
world?
fuck down on premise 2. Now
Some
you're
people
going
don't
back to
believe in
premise 1.
agency.
It's not even like a
Some
Mont and a
people do not
Bailey.
believe
It's
in
like a
agency,
Bailey.
so are you just establishing
It's
it
like
as a
bad
fucking
talking
big
point
fact?
after bad talking
Yeah,
point.
you're
You know, you're
an
in a
idiot.
periodic orbit of getting the fuck kicked out of you. You get the fuck kicked out of
That's
you
what
over
you
here, so you
say,
pivot
but
over
you
here.
haven't
You get
done
the
shit,
fuck kicked
bro.
out of you over there. Pivot back to the original starting place to get the fuck kicked out of you there,
That's
and then
what
the
you
cycle
keep
repeats.
hoping about. But people don't believe in agency.
And they would need to use their agency to not believe in agency. So it's
But you think
self-defeating.
there is. You're just assuming there is agency
Nope.
to not do it.
I'm not
This
just
could all
assuming
be an
it.
illusion,
You know,
right?
by trying to deny agency, you need to presuppose agency.
so, like,
you need
if
to
you were
use your
familiar
agency
with
to deny
Ian's
your
critiques of
agency.
it,
That's why
you're
it's
basically
inescapable. That's
using
why
the
agency
cohesive
is the
argument, right?
foundational starting point of
basically
ethics,
appealing
is
to the
because you would need to
hermeneutic
use your agency to deny your
Are you ever
agency.
going to shut up?
Whoa, calm down. No need to get upset.
So you're appealing to the cogito argument,
Nope.
which has been disproven
You're
by Hume.
super confused.
Yeah.
That's not the cogito.
You're saying, I think, therefore I am.
The
It's the
cogito
same
is what is
it's
it? It's
analogous to
dubio
it.
ergo cogito ergo sum, which is like I doubt,
Yeah,
therefore I think, therefore I am. It's not my
So you're
argument.
basing your
My
agency
argument
on
is
the
that
same
if I were
argument.
to affirm that I'm not an agent, well, I would need to use my agency to affirm that I'm not an agent.
How do you know that?
Which-
How would you? How do you
Because
know
in
that you
order
know how
to
use
affirm that I'm
agency?
not an agent, I would need to use my agency to affirm that I'm
assuming-
not an agent. In order to reflect on how I know that, I would need to use my agency
What
to
does an
reflect on
agent
how I
even
know that.
mean? What does an agent even mean?
That's premise 2, dipshit.
Bring it up.
Yeah, premise 2 is that I take actions to achieve goals if I'm an agent.
That's not. You didn't show what an agent
That's
is.
not, yeah. That's what an agent is.
So, yeah, premise 2 had nothing to do
Yeah,
with
if
what
I'm an
agent
agent, then I take actions to achieve goals.
No, that's just talking about how you're already an agent. Show me what an agent
That's what
is.
an agent is. An agent is somebody who takes actions to
An
achieve
agent
goals.
is whatever Ian thinks.
That's just what an agent is, sorry.
Oh, there we go. Based like your stupid assumptions and axioms that you can't prove
Oh,
again.
is bro taking
So
issue
what's
with
an agent?
words?
Ian, what's an agent?
Sorry, and what's what?
What's
What's
an
the word
agent?
what? What is the word what?
Exactly. You can't ground any of these things.
He's not able to actually do it. Like, as soon as these tactics get reversed on him, he gets blown the fuck out instantly. What's a
Well, I
god?
believe in a God, and I
Yeah,
have logical
and where does
language
God give
and
the
fucking
dictionary?
Morality. What?
Where does God give the dictionary?
No, we're able to have a dictionary because things are
Why?
comprehensible.
What's the argument
right?
for that?
Because in a world
Sure,
without
wait, so
God,
how do you
there
know
would
what the
be
word
no
God
order.
means?
Yes,
How do you know what the word God means?
because we believe in God. Like you don't have.
Yeah,
a
but how do you know what?
justification.
Oh, fuck, wait, so you just need to presuppose God in order to know what God means. So you
Yeah,
hold
we
the belief
start-
before you even know
we
what it
start
means.
with God, but you
Holy
start
shit,
with
dude.
just the basic
But how do you
assumptions of
know
logic,
what
right?
God is?
It's different things to different people, but
It's different things,
like
so it's
a
all subjective.
creator-
So
let's
God
just-
is subjective,
let's
to be
boil it-
clear.
Let's boil it down. So
Wait,
just
so
the
is
creator
God
of the universe.
subjective?
God's subjective.
But it's different things to different people.
Yeah, but their views.
If
on
something
God
is different
doesn't
things to different
actually-
people, is it objective or
Do you think that
subjective?
people's
Is
views
it if
on
it's different
God
things to different
changes
people, is
God's
it
nature?
objective or
Are you a
subjective?
fucking
Answer the
dipshit?
question. I'm just gonna keep
Are you a
berating
fucking
you.
dipshit?
If it's different things to different people,
Hey,
is it
dipshit.
objective or subjective?
Does that
Calm down.
change the
No
nature
need to
of
get
God?
upset. If it's different things
Does
to
that
different
change
people,
the
is it
nature of God,
objective
you
or
dipshit?
subjective? Answer the question.
It's
Stop dodging.
God's
If it's
subjective,
different
their views
things
on him
to
are
different people,
subjective,
is it
moron.
objective or
Look it
subjective?
up. God's subjective. Their views on him.
If it's
are
different things to different
subjective.
people, is it objective or subjective?
To the people, it's subjective.
It's the
God is
sure to
still
the well then
objective.
to me my definition of agency is objective. So yeah, next critique.
Well, everything in your worldview is subjective. You don't
No,
have a single
it's actually objective
thing.
as we just demonstrated.
No,
but
it's
you know,
not.
rape is objectively an okay thing to
I
do
don't
on your
even think
worldview.
you're
Reminder.
following it. You're such a dipshit.
Oh, calm down. No need to get upset.
All you do is fucking spurg out and you don't let me talk.
All you do is work out and you don't let me. You don't. That's like unironically what you
There
sound
we go
like.
again.
Like
There we go
seriously,
again.
like you should look up like looks maxing videos for your voice. Like you should start voice maxing. You should go
You should
onto
get outside
like
and
the
get some
incel
fucking
forums. You
sun
should go
so
onto like
some girl will fuck you
incel.me
one day.
and there's gonna be like a big long thread about how to looks max and you should do all the ones that are related to your voice, such that you aren't like verbally assaulting people every single time that you open your mouth to talk in your like horrible fucking like I don't know, man. It sounds like you're maybe you were the victim of like an acid attack. You know, maybe somebody poured acid down your throat. You know, maybe you were like in Gotham City fighting the Batman, and you know there was like a horrible freak accident, and like a ton of acid went down your throat, which is why your voice sounds so fucking terrible. But you know, there are options, man. I'm just telling you, there are options. So,
are you gonna cry? You sound like you're gonna cry.
Dear Heavenly Father, please we come to you in prayer to pray for a better voice for our friend here, Raziel. Please, Father, do not let him go through the world with the voice that he currently has, you know, trying to sling insults. But every single time he does, it's like really embarrassing for himself because he always has to say them in the voice that he has, which is too bad. Amen. Oh, he ran the fuck away. Whoa, Dr. Blitz. Are you sure you should be watching blood sports debates in your current condition?
How else am I supposed to get my entertainment?
Whoa, you sound a bit quiet. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing... It turns out having your insides rearranged by like a 35-year-old German, not a great feeling, but otherwise I'm okay.
I'm really glad to hear that. You know, I'm grateful. I had a physics question for you today, but I don't know if you're in like a physics mood.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So the way time dilation was explained to me, that the way you determine whose clock is going slower is because like in like the rocket ship example, you have to turn around and thus like break your inertial reference frame. Do you agree with that so far?
So the thing is that velocity is not relative. Acceleration, velocity is relative. Acceleration isn't. So you can only compare clocks when you're nearby each other, right? Like you have to be like right next to each other. Otherwise, you have to do signal propagation. It's a whole mess. And in GR, like that's not really a well-defined thing. So if somebody just flies by you on a rocket ship and they're moving at 99% the speed of light, from their perspective, as they pass by you, your clock will move slower. And from your perspective, as they pass by you, their clock will move slow, or their clock will move slower. It's only once, in order to check clocks again, one of them would have to turn around. And so it's that turning around which actually causes you, so from their perspective, right, your clock is moving slower, but while they're accelerating, while they're turning around, your clock jumps up and basically catches up the rest of the way. Basically, like during that small acceleration period, their clock, like if you're on the rocket ship, their clock will basically like jump forward 10 years over the course of, you know, a few seconds on your end, just because you're changing reference frames, and that basically causes the tilt. So you know the Minkowski diagrams where you have like the tilt tells you how fast the clocks move. It'll be like t on the x-axis and then distance on t on the vertical axis and distance on the horizontal axis.
Oh yeah, I've seen this shit. Yeah.
Right. So like what you're finding is that like the angle goes from one direction to the other direction for the accelerating rocket because they're changing speeds.
I see.
So like the angle flips, and that causes the amount of time that the unaccelerated person would have experienced basically sweeps over a huge amount of time.
Okay.
So it's because of that acceleration that even though on the way back their clock still seems like it's ticking slower, they've jumped way into the future from your perspective. So even though their clock does tick slower, it's not enough to account for this huge acceleration that you did, or this huge jump forward that they got from your acceleration. So it is the acceleration that causes the asymmetry here. There are other ways that you can get that asymmetry, but at least in a standard space-time, the acceleration is what does it.
Okay. So here's like a thought that I was thinking through. You said that one of the possibilities for the universe is that it's like a Pac-Man deal where if you just travel far enough, you're going to end up back at the same place. So couldn't you theoretically stay in the exact same inertial reference frame, travel at like 99% speed of light, and then end up back there and then compare the clocks then?
Yes, I actually made a video about this. This is something that's been thought about. In that case, so the reason why I said it in standard Minkowski space, which is infinite in all directions, it's the acceleration that does it. However, if you have something like a Pac-Man universe, there is a preferred reference frame. And it's the reference frame where in some sense, it takes the largest amount of travel time to go around. It's the reference frame that would basically makes the kind of the size of the universe biggest. You can imagine that if you're traveling in a direction, length contraction would make the universe appear smaller. You have to cover less distance to get back to where you started. And so in a Pac-Man-like universe, there's a preferred reference frame, and that's what creates the asymmetry here. So the one that is in this preferred reference frame, they would have their clock move the fastest, and everybody else moving relative to them would have a clock moving slower.
I see. That makes perfect sense. Gosh, sure. I'm connecting the dots. I'm reading through like an introduction to relativity, but like
good.
It's like a. Do you know like the very short introduction series?
I'm familiar with it. I haven't read it, but I'm familiar with it.
Yep, I'm reading through it. It's interesting.
Nice.
It makes sense. Time dilation makes sense to me.
Time dilation, it's really wonky, but once you just accept that light is the same in all reference frame, light moves at the same rate in all reference frames, it just happens on its own.
Yeah, it's just like Pythagorean theorem, basically.
Yep, that's all it is.
Yep. Whack. I thought it was way more complicated. Are you here to debate?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, sure.
I can't really move off my couch, so you know.
And wait, do you know what the state of the cancer is? I know they got the mass off, which is great.
Post a video tomorrow. I'm gonna record it later. I'm gonna post a video tomorrow. So without too much spoilers, surgery went really well. Basically went as well as it could have possibly gone.
Fuck yeah.
But I'm not gonna spoil it. I'll give more details tomorrow in the video.
Fuck yeah, let's go. That's great. That's genuinely awesome to hear. I'm so glad.
Yeah. And by the way, the bit at the beginning, my surgeon is like a 35-year-old German man, and he was definitely feeling around my insides, hence the German man rearranging your insides business.
I would love to have my insides rearranged by a 35-year-old German.
Well, there you go. It's not so pleasant, it turns out.
Sometimes you need to use a bit of lube.
I should have mentioned that.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? How old are you?
21.
And what religion?
Christian.
Okay.
I just want to say one thing. You do know that the Torah, the Christian Bible, and the Quran is like all Abrahamic God, right?
Yeah.
There is no difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I'm aware of that. But okay, you're Christian. What makes you think that God exists?
Well, actually, I'm on here because you were saying that God isn't real.
Uh-huh.
So, do you have like a premise conclusion or something?
Yep, I got you. Change always exists. Sure. Yep.
Let me just write it down real quick.
Yep, I can do that. Change always existed. If change always existed, then time always existed. Therefore, time always existed. One sec, let me make sure I'm sharing this on this other screen. If time always existed, then God did not create it. If God did not create time, then God is not ultimate. If God exists, then God is ultimate. Therefore, God does not exist. Yeah, which premise of these would you reject?
All right, let me read these. Hold on. Oh wait, are you basically saying that change always existed? If change always existed, then time always existed? Okay, so you're saying that time always existed. So are you saying if time always existed, then God did not create it? If God did not create time, then God is not ultimate. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, so basically all you're trying to say is that time cannot be created?
Yeah, but God would need to create time.
Okay, so time would have to exist within time in order for time to, change, right?
I don't know if I'd say that specifically. I would just say like
change before time.
I'd just say like change can't come into existence, and if you have change, then you have time.
Okay, you said if time didn't come into existence, do you think that there could have been change before time?
No. I think that if you have change, then you have time.
Okay, yeah, so if you have change, then you have time. So are you saying that you can't have time without change? You can't have time without something causing it, so there was always time? You're saying that... So
not quite.
So you do understand classical theism, right?
Yep.
Okay, you do understand that God isn't like before or after, he always is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what would the problem with God existing in time and out of time be?
It's a contradiction.
Okay, so the contradiction is that what? God can't exist in time and out of time?
Well, that one's like really easy, you know. If classical theism is true, then God is divinely simple. If God is divinely simple and both in and out of time.
Wait, can I see your first conclusion down there real quick?
Then all of God is in time and all of God is out of time. We'll just say is not in time. And then, I don't know, it's not the case that all of God is in time and all of God is not in time. Therefore, classical theism is false.
Okay, can I see your first conclusion down there real quick?
Sure.
Our conclusion, oh, there's 5. So 5, if God exists, then God is ultimate. Okay, conclusion, God does not exist. Okay, all right. So 5, if God exists. So, okay, 4, if God did not create time, then God is not ultimate. Okay, and 5, if God exists, then God is ultimate. Okay, conclusion, God does not exist. Okay, so 5 would be that. Okay, so what is the other thing that you brought up earlier? Up there?
Wait, well, first of all, I mean, do you accept like some part of... I mean, I have like this up here, although this probably isn't going to be helpful for understanding like the problem with the contradiction. If God is out of time...
I just write down these things because I know that people bring these things up and I'm going to want to do more research on these things, but I know a lot about it so far, but maybe something new is going to come up. So,
sure, that's fine.
So, okay, so 1, if classical theism is true, then God is divinely simple. 2, if God is divinely simple and both in and out of time, then all of God is in time and all of God is not in time. 3, it's not the case that all of God is in time and all of God is not in time. Okay, so all right, we'll talk about that afterwards, okay?
Okay, yeah, do you want to talk about
the
first one? Yeah, what's your critique of the first one?
Okay, so we're going to talk about the first premise. So let's go through this like carefully. So the first premise, change always existed, right?
Yep.
So when you say change always existed, what do you mean?
That there's never a state of affairs where change does not exist.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is that change always existed. Okay, you're just asserting that. And
I can prove it.
Okay, so, well, okay, yeah. So what you have to show me right now is that an infinite past, like an infinite regress, could, like something infinite, you know what I'm saying? Could exist in the first place. Like, why does it exist?
Do you believe in moments? Do you think moments of time exist?
Moments of time, like, are you actually, I believe in B theory.
Okay, that's cool, right? But
I don't think that B theory solves the infinite regress problem.
Well, I mean, it definitely does, but that's kind of like a separate conversation. I mean, do you think that moments in time exist?
I believe that now exist.
You believe in the B theory? and you believe now exists.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that, I don't know, like the past is actual and the future is actual?
So in B theory, the past wouldn't actually be the past. There wouldn't actually be a future. It would basically just be every moment is just now. So it's basically like a simple analogy. I could put it like, let's say you're watching a movie.
No,
right?
that's not. I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is not an accurate understanding of B theory. B theory holds that all moments are actual.
So no, B theory holds that the moment of your birth is the same as the moment of now.
No,
it's basically
no,
like asking, why don't I exist in a different coordinate than
That
now?
is-
Am I wrong?
That is categorically not what the B theory of time is saying.
Okay. Well, I guess I don't know then. I guess I'm
Okay,
wrong on that.
that's fine. I'll pull up the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy article on the matter. This is like eternalism, which is like commonly known as the B theory of time. Okay. So it puts like a 1 in the place if it exists, and then a 0 if it doesn't exist. So presentism, the A theory of time, only the present exists. There is no past. There is no future. Or rather, like
Yeah, that's what I
the
just
past
said.
is no longer.
Our
The
birth
future
is
is
the same
not
moment
yet.
as our future. So the past
That's not what
doesn't
it's
actually
saying.
exist. Yes, the present is.
It's the past does
now.
actually exist.
There is no past.
Like it is real.
So the past is a temporal location.
Yeah.
Like it exists.
Yes. That's what the B theory of time is saying.
B
yeah.
theory says that.
Yes. It says that the
Is this-
past, present, and future are actual. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. I thought actually that. Oh well, I guess that would probably be. I don't know. Then that's weird.
Yeah.
I'm
The
pretty
A
much
theory
sure.
says that the past is no longer and the future is not yet. So
Oh,
only the
that's A
present
theory.
exists.
Oh, that's A theory.
Yeah.
Okay, I probably got those mixed up then. My bad.
Okay. Sure. So, but you hold the A theory.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Sure. Where?
Well, I mean, I don't think that. Well, what I'm saying is that I don't think that, now is the same as when I was born. That's what I'm saying.
I agree. That's not what the B theory says, by the way. The B theory says that all moments are actual. They're not all the same moment, right? Like 10 minutes from now exists. It just exists 10 minutes from now. And like, think about space. 10 miles from here
okay.
exists,
Okay,
but
so
it's like
yeah,
10 miles
okay.
from here. It's not right here. 10 miles away from here is not right here.
Okay. So does time go infinitely back?
Yeah, although technically you could hold to a B theory where that's not true. But yeah, I'm inclined to think that time goes infinitely back.
Okay, so if time goes infinitely back, how do we ever reach now? How do we ever?
The now is always actual.
Okay, so what you're saying is basically we can go from A to B within an infinite thing, right?
There are no 2 points that are infinitely far from each other. For any 2 points, there's going to be a finite distance between them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, let's say we're standing on something infinite. We can move along it, but that doesn't mean like, I know what you're trying to say, right? Like that? Like we can move, but that doesn't mean that infinite would equal the end of infinite. It would just equal you walking within something infinite.
So the scenario you're proposing is like kind of confused because there's no starting point. You're not traveling from somewhere onwards.
Yeah,
Like there is no like from like how do we get to the present is like
we travel from the future, we travel to now. So obviously that's the whole point that I'm trying to say is if there is no starting point, how are we even at the point of now? What is now? What is right now? The
well
present
now
moment.
just
The
refers to
present
like a
moment we're
specific
experiencing.
time slice. So the time slice that corresponds to this particular configuration of reality, that's the now. And the now is completely relative to the time slice. That right now is now, and right now is now, and right now is now. That in order to specify what now is, you would need to specify now with respect to like a time slice.
Okay, well, so you're one, change always existed, right?
Yeah, I'll pull it back
Okay,
up.
two, if change always existed, then time always existed. Okay, therefore time always existed. If God did not create time, then God is not ultimate. If God exists, then God is ultimate. Okay, therefore God does not exist because he cannot be ultimate. But if he does exist, then he is ultimate. So, okay. You're saying change always existed. Okay, that's a claim about the past. So if time had a beginning, you think it did not, right? It did not have a beginning?
Yeah.
Okay, so if time did have a beginning, then there was no before for change to happen, right?
If time did have a beginning,
then there was no before for change to happen.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Okay, the Big Bang suggests time had a beginning. Right?
It does not, unfortunately.
Actually, no, recently, no, it doesn't. Actually, there was a survey done, right?
There was, yeah. Yes.
That the Big Bang wasn't the absolute beginning of time, right?
Yes, yeah.
68% of participants. Okay, yeah. So yeah, what I'm saying is that, yeah, that survey doesn't say that time did not begin. It's saying it's not an absolute beginning of time, right?
Yep. Yeah, well, people try to appeal to the Big Bang and say, like, the Big Bang says the beginning of time, but the Big Bang doesn't say that. It makes no claims to being the beginning.
Yeah, it doesn't say the beginning of, it's not an absolute beginning of time, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, yeah, I understand that. So, but what we do know is that matter and space, right, came into existence?
No, because if you have time, then you have space. Space-time are interconnected.
Well, other people would argue that space and time are, two separate objects. Like space-time and then space and time are two different claims, right?
So my understanding is that ultimately, and Dr. Blitz can elaborate on this.
They both depend on each other, right? Space and time depend on each other.
Yeah, specifically because all of your time measurements are irreducibly spatial and all your space measurements are irreducibly temporal. I don't know. Dr. Blitz, is there something to that, or am I gibberating?
So what does the Big Bang say about space beginning?
The Big Bang doesn't say anything about space beginning. The point is merely that there are, you can basically rotate between space and time, which means that they have to be on some sort of equal footing. It would be like saying, oh, well, north and south is so different from east and west, even though you can rotate between north and east, for example. Like you could change, like by taking a turn, you could go from going north to going east, and yet somehow north and east are different things. No, they're just two different dimensions of the same underlying thing. Similarly, space and time are two different sets of dimensions of the same underlying thing called space-time.
Is that like a conceptual tool that's used in relativity?
The rotational bit?
Yeah.
No, it's actually quite literal. It's just the rotations are in the rotations are, we call them Lorentz boosts, but they're literally like they have the same mathematical structure as rotations do.
How do you rotate time?
It's a hyperbolic rotation. That's what it is.
Well, actually, first of all, I just want to say that science doesn't literally say anything, right?
I don't think that's true.
I
think that scientists interpret data, but you know what I'm saying? Many scientists say the universe began because of the evidence that we observe, right? They don't actually absolutely say anything. It's just based off of, the evidence we observe, right?
I mean, they make like certain absolute claims about things. They claim.
So what I'm trying to say right now is that scientists interpret data, but many scientists say the universe began because of the evidence that we observe.
That might be true, but unfortunately, it's like an appeal to authority. You would need to reject like a premise in the argument.
Well, no, it's not appealing to authority. I would just offer you the evidence.
Sure. What's the evidence?
So first, it would be, first of all, there's three here that I have. So first of all, be the expansion, the second law of thermodynamics, and we'll talk about that one later. But we'll talk about these two first. Which one?
Sure. So in terms of expansion, I have no reason to think that expansion is always happening. That it couldn't have gone from, like, I don't know, that it couldn't have been in like some hot dense state for infinity time and then rapidly expanded, that it couldn't have gone through infinite cycles of big bounces and big crunches. So I have no reason to think that it was always expanding. I also have no reason to think that entropy wouldn't reverse in the event of like a big crunch. A lot of papers that I've read or like read the abstracts of seem to suggest that that's what would happen in a big crunch.
Okay, so basically what I'm trying to say is that entropy, what would entropy equal?
There's like a technical definition, which is just like the number of macro states that correspond, or the number of microstates that correspond to a macro state. So let's say take
Do
a
you agree
Rubik's.
that entropy would equal increasing disorder?
Kind of. It's not a great understanding, but sure. Like it's like a good, maybe like general understanding, but it's not like strictly good as like an understanding. It has problems.
Okay, so that's basically what I'm trying to say is the universe is running down. If it had existed forever, it should already be at maximum entropy, but it's not, which suggests a finite past. Can you agree?
No, because if the universe goes through like a big crunch, it rapidly expands, the Big Bang, and then it rapidly collapses in like a big crunch. In a scenario such as that, well, that would actually have like a reversal of entropy.
Infinite regress, but that just pushes the question back forever. It doesn't actually explain why it exists at all. That's just masking it as not an infinite regress. But basically, all you're saying is that the universe has a problem of infinite regress. Right now.
I don't see why that's a problem to say that the universe goes back infinitely. I've never been presented like a compelling argument against it.
I'm fine with the point that space and time are ununified as space-time. Okay, that's standard. Okay, so space equals space and time as one framework, right?
Sure, basically. Kind of.
So, but listen, that doesn't solve the issue, right? It actually like sharpens it. So if space-time is one system, then the question becomes, does space-time itself have a boundary or not?
It's just not clear that it does.
So, because if it does, then you still have a beginning of space-time, not just time and isolation.
Yeah, sure. If there is well, it depends on what kind of boundary it is. If it's a spatial boundary, if it's a spatial boundary, then it's not a beginning. If it's a temporal boundary, then sure, it could be a beginning or an end. But it's not clear that it has any boundaries to begin with.
Okay, so when you bring up things like infinite cycles, big bounces, or entropy reversing, those are speculative models. Speculative equals like not empirically confirmed. So they are possibilities, not established facts.
But them being possibilities is like the dialectical defeater.
Yeah, but all possibilities aren't equally valid.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. But you're saying that it couldn't possibly be an infinite regress, and I'm just demonstrating that it possibly could be.
Well, yeah, even if I grant a cyclic universe, you still don't escape the problem. Why does that system exist at all? What explains the laws governing those cycles? Also, reversing entropy isn't something we observe. It's hypothetical. The second law consistently points.
But is it possible? Well, first of all, the second law doesn't apply to. It doesn't apply to the overall universe because it's not clear that the overall universe is a closed system or an open system.
Back into a different framework.
What?
So the current model of our universe, right? It's basically that. Obviously, it's the CMD lambda. I'm pretty sure. The universe is expanding, okay? So you're saying that space-time, well, I'm saying that space-time being unified doesn't remove a beginning. It just means space-time itself needs an explanation. Cycles and entropy reversal are speculative, not solution.
Okay, but are they possible? Because you're saying that they're impossible.
Even if the universe cycles forever, what explains the system and laws that make those cycles possible?
Well, wait, let's go one claim at a time. Are you saying that it's possible for it to cycle infinitely?
What I'm saying is, even if the universe cycles forever, what explains the system and laws that make those cycles possible?
Yeah, for example, I could appeal to the Hamiltonian, which is like the thing that determines energy relations. It's the way that the wave function evolves over time.
Well, scientifically, the current standard model in cosmology, the Big Bang model, points to a beginning of space, time, and matter.
Why are we jumping back like 5 lines in the dialogue tree?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, it does. Like, the Big Bang model points to the beginning of space, time, and matter, right?
No, not at all. I mean, you cited the survey.
Based off of the evidence that we have, right?
You cited the survey. It just doesn't say that.
Yeah, I know that it does. I've already said that science doesn't literally say anything. Scientists interpret data, but many scientists say the universe began because of the evidence that we observe. Science doesn't literally say anything.
Right, and the big look, we weren't saying what does science say. We were asking what does the Big Bang model say. The Big Bang model doesn't say anything about the beginning of space, time, and matter.
Yes, because scientists don't literally say anything. That's why. Literally,
No, that's not why. You're misunderstanding what the question is asking. The question is asking is, suppose that the Big Bang model, lambda CDM, or whatever modification of it that you prefer, is correct. It's like down to a T, actually true. Does that say anything about whether the universe has a beginning? And the answer is no.
No, the things that point to there being a beginning would be entropy, the expansion, and models.
The expansion doesn't point to there being a beginning. In a de Sitter universe, you have an expanding universe that doesn't have a beginning.
The expansion of the
expansion
universe
doesn't get you there.
Galaxies moving apart. When you trace that backward, everything converges to an extremely hot dense state, what we call the Big Bang.
Yep.
So that's
but that doesn't say anything about a beginning.
The inference is a finite past. Okay.
How do you go from a small dense state to a finite past? How does that follow? Like, it just doesn't.
You're not listening. That's the problem. When you trace that backward, and I know you're smarter than me. I know, obviously. Okay. What I'm saying is, though, I've done research myself. You know what I'm saying? And I watch you guys. You know what I'm saying? And I actually go live myself and hear a lot of arguments, and these aren't really that different from what most people come up with. And I'm being honest. It's, I can argue that atheism isn't real. And I can prove that.
Seems like you've pivoted to the meta conversation. Look,
no, I'm just saying
it's not I've spoken with cosmologists about this fact.
Right. The thing here is
I've spoken with cosmologists about this fact. I've published in cosmology journals. I have a paper that's under review that specifically works with this fact. It's not even clear how to talk about.
Would you agree that most cosmologists agree that the universe expanded from a very hot dense state? Physics breaks down when you go far back enough.
Depends on what you mean by physics breaks down. Current physics, our current understanding, that's an epistemological claim. It's not. No.
Physics breaks
it's our
down
understanding
when you
of physics
far
breaks down
enough back, and we currently don't have a complete theory of ultimate origins. What do you do?
That's incorrect.
So you disagree.
I was trying to tell you.
Well, yeah, I know you're saying
The correct
that.
statement is that our understanding of physics breaks down 13.8 billion years ago. Not that physics breaks down.
Yes, that would just be the same thing as saying physics breaks down, because our current understanding is literally physics. We're not making a truth claim that we know exactly, but the thing is, we know that we have good reasons to think that.
So what is the good reason to think that because there is a hot dense state that there's an actual beginning? What's the reason? What's the inference?
It's not about whether or not the hot dense state was a beginning. It's about whether or not why that hot dense state existed in the first place.
Okay, so what's the inference for that hot dense state exists in the first place because there was a beginning?
Jesus Christ rising from the dead.
Oh. Well, this feels like an egregious pivot, but I mean, I guess to make some progress, maybe we'll just allow
it. To that, doesn't it? Ultimately, it all comes down to that, but we'll talk about that later.
Then why'd you bring up entropy?
Ultimately, it comes down to, Jesus Christ rising from the dead.
Then why'd you bring up entropy? By the way, Jesus Christ rising from the dead would also violate the second law of thermodynamics.
Yeah, but if there is a God, then miracles are possible.
Okay, I mean that's fine, I guess. But it also seems like miracles are the kinds of things that we wouldn't expect to be the case.
Do you think God's actions happen at different times?
Do I think God's actions happen at different times?
Yeah.
So God is unchanging.
But does God will different things at different times?
Does God will different things? Do I think that God's actions happen at different times?
Yeah, like does God will different actions at different times?
So, how can I explain this to you? Because classical theism, you need to understand that God is what grounds time. God is God. I'm rejecting that God is in time. Okay, I'm gonna reject that.
So sure, okay, so you're a classical theist, so you hold the divine simplicity, so you hold God as identical to, for example, his sustaining power. Do you think that God is sustaining different things at different times? Like, for example, in fucking 370 BC, God was sustaining Socrates in existence. God is no longer sustaining Socrates in existence. It would seem like God's sustaining power, God sustains different things at different times.
Well, yeah, I understand what you're saying. So you're asking if God sustains different things at different times, and if okay. Well, you're saying that he's no longer sustained because he's dead, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
He doesn't exist. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Christians believe that God sustains everything in his existence at every moment. So if you hear echo, let me know. Nothing. Well, Christians believe that God sustains everything and everything in existence at every moment. Okay. So nothing exists unless God is holding it in being. So when Socrates was alive, God sustained him. Now Socrates is dead. God is no longer sustaining his earthly life, but Socrates as a person still exists, just not in the same way. Christians believe the soul continues. So here's the key, though. Here's the key. Okay?
Is God still sustaining Socrates? In the year 2026, is God sustaining Socrates in existence?
Well, look, God is no longer sustaining his earthly life, but Socrates, but Socrates as a person still exists, just not in the same way.
Okay.
Christians believe the soul continues, right?
Sure. So God changed from sustaining Socrates' earthly existence to no longer sustaining Socrates' earthly existence.
No, he never stopped sustaining.
So he's still sustaining Socrates' earthly existence?
It's a soul.
I'm not asking about the soul, I'm asking about the earthly existence. Is God still sustaining Socrates' earthly existence?
His earthly existence? Yeah, so I see what you're trying to say here, but you're not understanding. So look, listen, Christians believe that God sustains everything in existence at every moment. Okay, nothing exists unless God is holding it in being, right?
Yep.
So when Socrates was alive, God sustained him because he sustains everything in existence at every moment, right? But now Socrates is dead, right? God is no longer sustaining his earthly life.
So God changed.
Because God sustains everything in existence, so he ceased to exist, right?
So God changed. He changed from sustaining Socrates' earthly life to no longer sustaining Socrates' earthly life.
God didn't change, Socrates changed.
Well, but Socrates came into existence and then went out of existence because of God's act of sustaining.
Because of, okay, whoa, hold on. Okay, wait.
Do you recognize that God is sustaining different things at different times?
Well, I just want to make sure that you're realizing that time,
Christians believe.
God is time.
What? What does that mean?
Time. God, look, listen. So here, I'm going to give, look, God, I'm going to give you the key. This is the key. This is the key right here. Okay, listen. Okay. God himself doesn't change. He doesn't go from sustaining one thing to not sustaining another in a way that means he changes. So what changes is the things he sustains, like I just said. So Socrates was alive.
What causes them to change?
So look, Socrates was alive. Now he's not. That's a change in Socrates.
Yeah, what causes him to no longer be in existence?
What do you think it is? Because I'm just confused.
Presumably in your worldview, it's that God stopped sustaining him. That if God continued to sustain Socrates' existence in the year 2026, then Socrates' earthly existence would still be here.
You're misunderstanding the word sustain. That's the problem here. I think
sustain just means specifically, we're talking about like a sustaining cause.
God sustains you to be, a being in existence. But
was God eternally sustaining my existence?
Make you immortal. Is that what you're trying to say?
But was God eternally sustaining my existence?
Eternally, like your soul?
Me, like my physical form, was God eternally sustaining my physical form?
You are not you. You are a soul.
Okay, my physical form, my physical body, was God eternally sustaining my physical body? I don't know why you're dodging.
No, this is just the problem of mind versus soul.
He said you are not you.
Okay.
No, this is a problem. It's mind versus soul right now. I don't think that you're catching it.
I don't think you're answering the question. I'm increasingly more convinced that you're dodging.
Okay, so you're asking if God was eternally sustaining your physical body.
Yes.
Okay. So, look, your physical body hasn't existed forever. It came into existence when you were born, right?
Yes.
So God hasn't been sustaining it for all eternity. So my
Yes.
answer is
So
no.
he started sustaining it at some point.
Listen, he's been sustaining it for as long as it has existed.
Yes, but there is a point in time where God begins to sustain my physical body.
Well, there's a distinction between eternal and everlasting. You do realize that, right?
Yes, that's fine. Yeah, but he was not eternally sustaining my physical body, and then he begins sustaining it. So God goes from not sustaining something to sustaining something.
So here's where
Is that correct?
Here's where the distinction matters.
Is that
Okay,
correct?
God is what correct?
Can I just get clear? Is that a correct model that God goes from not sustaining my physical body to sustaining my physical body?
Well, I already gave you your answer. I told you.
Yes.
That you're not understanding.
No.
I told
Is
you
it yes or no?
I told you you were asking if God was eternally sustaining your physical
Is it
body.
a yes or a no? You said
no.
yeah. You said no. God was not eternally sustaining it. So then God begins to sustain it at some point. Correct?
God sustains existence. I think you're confusing these words.
You're not answering the question.
I already did.
No, you didn't. You changed the question.
I said, look, no.
You changed it to, well, God sustains existence. I'm not asking if God sustains existence. I'm asking, was God eternally sustaining me, my physical body? Did God eternally sustain that? And your answer to that is no. So then God begins to sustain it, correct?
Well, your physical body hasn't existed forever. It came into existence when you were born. So God hasn't been sustaining it for all eternity. He's been sustaining it for. You're not understanding the distinction between eternal and everlasting. So if you want to have a productive conversation here, let me explain. So here's where the distinction matters. God is eternal outside time. Your physical body is temporal. It exists in time. So from God's perspective, he doesn't experience it before you were born and then after. He sees all of time as present. But from your perspective, your body hasn't always been here. So God didn't eternally sustain your physical body because your physical body hasn't existed eternally. He sustains it for the duration of its existence.
So you're saying that
what doesn't change is God's sustaining power. He is always the source of existence for whatever exists, but what he sustains changes because creation changes. You weren't always here, now you are. One day you won't be. That's a change in creation, not a change in God. Think of it like the sun. The sun's light is constant. If you walk into a room, the sun lights you. If you leave, the sun doesn't stop shining. It just shines on something else. In the same way, God's sustaining power is constant. He sustains whatever exists for as long as it exists. So my question here is, if God is unchanging, how would you expect him to relate to a changing creation?
God doesn't exist is going to be my answer to any question you ask me about God. I don't believe in that.
Would you expect him to change?
Okay, so we're just like derailing as quickly and as fast as, I don't know. I thought we were having like a good productive dialogue. I don't know what flipped.
It's fine, God. It's fine, God.
Okay, so
I got a little carried away.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, pretty evidently what flipped is that he brought up thermodynamics and then got questioned on it, and so he's like, "But Jesus rose from the dead."
Okay.
And that's when the conversation went off the rails.
Oh, I didn't even pick up that.
Well, the thing here is you can't get God with only the cosmological argument. You have to use other things too, like the moral evidence and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So technically, what it all comes down to is the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So technically, I was not pivoting. Technically, I was getting to the main point.
Yeah, you're arriving at a new argument, one that is different than the previous one. That's
but
a
hey,
pivot.
I like you. Like, this is a good conversation. Like, come on, be honest.
Okay.
Like, it's not that bad. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like,
yeah.
let's try to get
Okay.
somewhere.
This is fine. But I'm still curious about the sustaining thing. So you're saying God sustains different things at different times?
Listen. Okay. So when you say God is sustaining things at different times, okay, you say that God sustains things at different times. Okay,
I do.
I've already told you, and I really want you to listen because it makes sense when you really listen to it. So there's a difference. So eternal and everlasting, there's a distinction. Okay?
Yeah,
God
eternal means like without beginning and without end, and everlasting means it has no end. I understand. There's no need for this.
Okay, yeah. So eternal is outside time, right? God is eternal outside time, right? My bad. That made no sense.
I think what you're looking for is timeless, not eternal.
No, I meant to say God is eternal outside time.
Typically, eternal is meant to mean exists
Within
at all
time.
moments of time.
Yes, I know.
And that all moments of time go in both directions forever.
Yeah, I know.
That's what eternal is typically understood to mean.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say that too, but I just stuck with can't be created or destroyed. I was gonna say that but anyways, so the point is, what I'm saying, God is eternal outside time. Okay, your physical body.
No, that's a contradiction. If you agree with the definition I offered, then that's just but not a contradiction. That's an oxymoron. Eternal is a property of things that are in time. Outside of time is a property of things that are not in time.
Atheism is parasitic. It can't stand on its own. So you use logic, but you can't ground it.
Bro's running tag.
Not this.
After all this, bro's running tag.
Come on. You could just be like epistemically humble and say, that's an interesting argument. I'll consult with my trusted advisor, ChatGPT.
You're trying to get me to say that God does different things at different points of time, right?
I think it's impossible to understand what God is doing in any other terms. The idea, to try to avoid saying, God sustains different things at different times,
I'll tell you, yes,
I actually have no idea how you could even avoid that.
Yes, God sustains different things at different times.
Okay.
Let me be clear so there's no confusion. Okay,
Yes.
So was God eternally sustaining your physical body? No. Your physical body hasn't existed eternally. It came into existence at your birth. So God began sustaining it at that point. Does God sustain different things at different times? Yes, he sustains whatever exists for as long as it exists. When something ceases to exist, he no longer sustains it. So does that mean God changes? No, God's sustaining power is constant. What changes is creation. Think of it like the sun. The sun shines constantly. If a cloud passes in front of it, the cloud is shaded. The sun didn't stop shining, the cloud moved. In the same way, God's sustaining power is constant, okay? So things come into existence and pass out of its existence. God's power doesn't flicker on and off. It's always there, sustaining whatever exists. So why does that matter? If God's sustaining power changed, that would mean God changes, but God doesn't change. What changes is creation. Creation has beginning. Creation has an end. God is the constant source behind it all. So yes, God sustains different things at different times, not because he changes, but because creation changes.
Okay, so he sustains different things at different times. What that means is that God's will has temporal parts. You could subdivide God's will into parts, and they're going to be different things at different times. So God has temporal parts, which means that he's in time.
You're saying God has temporal parts, which means so time. That was pretty. Actually, you know what? That was a good one. Okay, so you're asking if God sustains different things at different times. Does that mean he has temporal parts?
I'm not even asking. I'm just claiming, right?
Are you asking? Does that mean he's in time?
Well, I'm telling you that would be an entailment that God wills the existence of different things at different times, which means that God's will has temporal parts, which means that God has temporal parts.
Okay, you have to explain that one more time. I'm not gonna lie.
Sure.
That's the same exact thing you said before.
Okay. God's will. God is willing different things at different times. He's willing Socrates exists. I don't know, like 2,500 years ago. He's no longer willing Socrates exists. God's will is different at different times. God's will changes. Or sorry, you're not going to like that. We'll set that aside. What that means is that God's will has temporal parts. It has portions of it that are true at different times, where at some time it's true, simplicator, God is sustaining Socrates, and at different times that's not true. So what this means is that God's will has temporal parts. If you have temporal parts, then you're in time. So God would be in time. A temporal part is just a portion of you, a portion of an object that's a specific way at a specific time.
I would expect something like this from you. So, yeah, you were saying that if God wills different things at different times, then his will has temporal parts. And if his will has temporal parts, then he is in time.
Yep.
Okay. So, yeah, I wouldn't go. That's pretty good. You're a pretty smart guy. Okay. So,
yeah,
in classical theism, Okay, we distinguish between God's being, who he is, and God's will, what he chooses. So God's being is eternal and unchanging. His will, in terms of its effects, plays out in time, but God's act of willing is not temporal. It's one eternal act. One eternal act, many temporal effects. Think of it this way, okay? God does not decide at one moment to create Socrates and then later decide to stop sustaining him. That would mean God changes. Instead, God has one eternal act of will that encompasses all of history, okay? So from God's perspective, he eternally wills to create Socrates at a certain point in time and to allow him to die at another point. The effects of that one eternal will are experienced in time, okay? So, but the will itself is not temporal. It's one eternal decision. So God doesn't have temporal parts, okay? He has one eternal act of will that produces effects at different times. So let me give you an analogy. Imagine an author writing a novel. The author writes the whole book at once in his mind. The story unfolds in time, chapter 1, then chapter 2. But the author's decision to write the story is not in time. He conceived it as a whole. In the same way, God's one eternal will unfolds in time, but his will itself is not temporal. So if God is eternal and unchanging, how would you expect his will to relate to time? Would you expect him to have a series of changing decisions, or would you expect him to have one eternal decision that plays out in time?
Okay. I mean, I love the rhetorical question at the end of it. So I'm not sure which AI you're reading off of, but it's like deeply confused about classical theism.
I'm reading off of Notion, my notes. Notes.
So, okay, in classical theism, there's a doctrine called divine simplicity. Divine simplicity holds that God is mereologically simple, which is to say that he has no parts. There are no parts of God. There are no distinctions in God either. God is identical to all of the stuff. Like God is identical to his act, and God is identical to his will, and God is identical to perfect knowledge. Like God is just identical to all of these things. To say that there is a distinction between God's being and his will means that classical theism is false, because that would say that divine simplicity is false.
Okay, all right. So I heard everything you said. I just want to show something real quick. So I'm actually going off of my notes. I'm not using AI. I'm going off of my notes. I'm not actually using AI. There's a library called Notion that I use to make sure that I just keep up with everything that I learned. So I just keep up with my thoughts. I don't really think that's a problem. And obviously, I'm going to use what I've learned to argue against what I've already heard before. So
that's
obviously, I'm just saying, I know like I seem like I'm prepared, but does being prepared mean that what you're saying isn't valid or sound?
Are you asking me?
No, I'm just, it's not an actual
question.
Sure.
It's
it's not an actual question. So, but yeah, like you said, you're right to call, you're saying, your classical theism, okay? So in classical theism, God is simple. He has no parts. There is no distinction between his being and his will, okay? So his will, he is his will, okay? So he is his knowledge. He is his power. Yep. So when I said distinguish between God's being and God's will, that was stupid kind of, but it wasn't stupid. It was like sloppy. But in classical theism, they are identical. So yeah, I appreciate you calling it out. So, but how does that work with the temporal effects? So here's how classical theism handles this, okay? So God is one eternal act of being. So that one eternal act includes his will. So God is one eternal act of being, okay? That one eternal act includes his will. So his knowledge, his power are all identical to himself. From God's perspective, he doesn't will one thing at one point in time and another thing at another time. He wills everything in one eternal act, but the effects of that one eternal act are experienced in time, right? So when we say God wills Socrates to exist at 400 BC, that's true from our temporal perspective, but from God's perspective, his one eternal act of will includes Socrates' existence at that point in time. So God doesn't have temporal parts, okay? So he doesn't have a will part that applies to one time and another will part. So he doesn't have a will part. Okay, there's not a will part that applies to one time and another will part. So that applies to another time. Okay, so if that makes sense. But his will is one. It's eternal. It's unchanging. The changes are in creation, right? Not in God. So when we say God sustained Socrates at one time and not at another, that's a statement about the effect, the cause. It's a statement about the effect. The cause, God's will, is one eternal act.
Okay. Is God's sustaining power present at every point in time?
Is God sustaining what?
Is God's sustaining power present at every point in time?
Is God's sustaining power present at every point in time?
Yeah.
Is God's sustaining power present at every point in time? Is God's sustaining power present at every point in time? So
Or just type that into ChatGPT 100%.
God existing. Okay, not God existing. Temporal things, like I've already said, in God's perspective.
Could you turn your camera on and then give the response?
Yeah, I'm in my room now.
Yep.
I'm walking around in my room.
Yeah, could you like show the screen and then give the response?
Show my screen and give the response?
Yeah,
So,
just to
God's
make
will
sure.
is sustaining power?
Yeah, just to make sure that we're.
What do you mean? I'm confused.
The screen in front of you, I suspect has like ChatGPT on it. If you could turn your camera on, show the screen in front of you. You said you showed it earlier. It was like the notes.
Yeah, I walked away from it though. Now I'm responding. So how can I respond
Could you-
to ChatGPT?
Could you maybe like show the screen to just verify that that's true?
That what's true?
That you know, indeed, you're not reading off of ChatGPT.
Do you want me to go to my notes or something? I'm confused.
Yes,
and show
please.
you- Well, yeah, I can, and obviously I'm going to right now. But the thing here is, I don't have to have notes about what we're currently talking about.
I just want to make sure that you're like. I want to make sure that I'm not arguing with like AI.
Okay. Why? I mean, does AI usually beat you?
No, it just wastes a lot of my time.
Okay. Well, I'm not using AI, and I'll show you now.
Please.
Okay, so what are you actually asking me to show you from my notes? Are you asking me to show you an argument on what we're
Well, I
arguing?
just want your camera on, like facing the notes that are on your screen that you showed earlier, and then I want you to give the response.
Okay, so you want me to show my screen while we talk?
Just for
Yes,
this next
that's-
response,
That's
yes.
what Ian's asking for.
Okay. I gotta go back downstairs. Hold on.
I guess we'll read some supers. Oh, yep. Thanks. Okay. Yep. Sure. So the question is, God's sustaining power. Is God's sustaining power present at every time?
Is God's sustaining power present at all points in time? Like I've said earlier, from God's perspective, things don't actually begin to exist in time. In God's perspective, everything, he's all knowing. There's nothing that he does not know.
What do you think the question is?
The question is God's sustaining power present in all of time, but to God, there is no beginning of time, okay? Well, no, there's a beginning, but for God, there is no before, there is no after.
It's kind of unfortunate that you had to stop.
Well, I really don't want to sit there with my camera on. I have my family walking around, bro.
Okay. I mean, that's like fair and reasonable. But I mean, like the answer that you gave just now was like,
But you're asking me
it's
if
like super unrelated to the question.
I'm literally in my room right now. If you want to see, I'll just keep my camera on just so you can see me walking around. There is no computer nowhere. There's no computer.
Can we get the 360?
Yeah, there's a 360. There's no
Okay.
computer.
Okay, that's chill. That's chill. Sure.
So if you want, I'll just keep my camera on, just keep it facing this way.
Okay, sure, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so God's sustaining power, either yes, it is present at every time, or no, it's not present at every time.
Is it present at every point in time?
Yeah.
Well, technically, yes.
Okay. So, and God is identical to his sustaining power?
Yes, God is identical to his power, his knowledge, his will, all these things. Yes, there is no part, you know?
So then the argument's pretty simple. God is identical to his sustaining power. God's sustaining power is present at all moments in time. Therefore, God is present at all moments in time. So God is in time.
Okay, yeah. So I've already explained earlier that God existing in time is it's not following classical theism. Do you understand classical theism? Because I think you're mistaking the words again. Eternal.
Which word do you think I mistook?
Eternal and everlasting. You're doing this again.
No.
You're doing it again. Yes.
Surely not. Surely say it ain't so. Again?
So you said if God exists in time, or if God does things at different points of time, that means that God exists in time?
No.
Right?
If God is identical to his sustaining power, and God's sustaining power is present at all moments in time, then God is present in all moments in time, which means that God's in time.
Okay.
So God's in time.
So God can't be in and out of time?
No.
Because God is what grounds time? Time is God?
Well, that's a big problem because grounding is asymmetric. If you ground a thing, you can't be that thing. You can't ground yourself.
No, time is separate from God. I said that wrong. Okay, but what I'm saying is, listen, time isn't, God doesn't see a before or after. God, from his perspective, right? From God's perspective, there is no before and after. That's what I keep telling you.
So let's get like really linear with this. I have I'm just going to put up like a premise-based argument, and you can tell me which one's false. So premise 1, God's sustaining power is present all moments of time. Premise 2, God is identical to his sustaining power. Premise 3, if 1 and 2 are true,
if 1 plus 2,
just like the first 2 premises are true, then God is present
not that slow.
at all moments of time. Present at all moments in time. Okay, of these 3, which would you reject?
Okay, 1, God's sustaining power is present at all moments of time. God is identical to his sustaining power. If 1 and 2, then God is present at all moments of time. Conclusion, God is present at all moments in time. Okay, so when you say God is present at all moments in time, when you say in time, you have to understand that God is not bound by time.
But which premise do you reject?
I just now told you that God is not bound by time, so therefore God is not bound by time.
What does that disagree with?
It's disagreeing with God exists at all moments in time. Because time, if he existed in all moments in time,
okay,
then that would mean that so I understand what you're saying. If God exists at all moments in time, then that means that God changes, God's will changes at different points of time. But God, from his perspective, there's no before or after. So you saying God is present at all moments in time, right? God is present at all moments in time. For God, He is not bound by the limits of time. Okay, he's not bound by the limits of time. So when it's God is present at all, it's like God is sustaining existence at all moments. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like God existing in time, it's God sustaining time, existence, all of these things. Okay.
So let me get this.
Because none of these things could exist without him.
Let me make
What I'm
sure
trying
that
to
I have
say
this accurate. So you're saying that you agree that God's sustaining power is present at all moments in time. You agree that God is identical to his sustaining power, and you agree that if the last two are true, then God is present at all moments of time. But you disagree that God is present at all moments of time?
No, I never agreed that. No, I agree. I'm telling you that. Listen, you're saying that God is present. God can't be present at all moments. Okay?
Then he's not identical to his sustaining power.
No, what you're not understanding is when you say, well, you actually know God is present at all times, at all moments in time. That's what you're trying to say, right? God is present at all moments in time.
Yes.
But God being present at all moments in time does not mean that he is bound by the limits of time.
It certainly means that he's in time.
Okay, yeah, but the thing you're not understanding is that what you're trying to imply is that since he's in time, that implies that God can change. That implies that God's will does change, right? But the thing you're not understanding is that God, there is no before, there is no after. God is eternal. God does not see a before or after, okay? I mean, no. There is no before or after for God, I mean. There is no before or after. What I'm trying to tell you is that God isn't present at all moments in time. God is what sustains time. God is what sustains existence, okay? Obviously, God is capable of being all-powerful. God is capable of being all these things, okay? But him being the sustainer of time and his will, like Socrates, and him sustaining Socrates, like I said earlier, just because later on you think that he's no longer sustaining Socrates doesn't mean that his will changes. There is no before or after for God. And either way, your analogy with Socrates fails because God is still sustaining him, his soul. The soul continues after. So there is no actual true change in the sense when it comes to God, because there is no before, there is no after, there is no change because there's no before and there's no after. There is no change. There is no moment. The moment is the moment. There is no moment before or after. So there is no present for God in a temporal sense. For us, yes, obviously, we know that, you know, there's a before and after for us, but for God, there's not. So when you say God is present at all moments in time, you're basically implying that God is in the past, he's in the future. Okay, you're saying that God is also still in the past right now, and he's also still in the future. But what you're not realizing is that for us, God is present at different moments in time and things change. But for God, these things aren't actually before or after. It's for him, it's just now.
Okay, so you accept the conclusion that God is present at all moments in time.
Yeah, I keep telling you that. What do you mean by that? What are you trying to say when you say that?
Just that.
What is your point of saying
at
that?
every moment of time, there's like a list of things that exist. If you look at the list of things that exist for every time, you're going to find God within that list of things.
Okay.
Okay, so then God is in time.
Okay, you're saying God is in time, or is God present at all moments in time? So are you saying that God being in time is the same thing as being present at all moments in time?
Yes,
saying that if he's
the exact same thing.
So what you're saying is if God is present at all moments in time, how can there be different moments where his will changes, right?
No, it's just that, I mean, if God is present at all moments in time, I mean, unfortunately, that means classical theism is false. because classical theism holds that God is outside of time.
Okay. All right, guys. I'm not gay. Okay, this like, come on, guys. Okay.
Okay.
All right, listen.
That kind of came out of nowhere.
No, because like I got a pink desk in here and stuff. And
That listen, I gotta be honest with you. What you just said, you know, has me raising questions that were in fact answered by the comment that you made.
Wait, what?
You know, you said I'm not gay, guys, and you out of nowhere saying I'm not gay, guys, has me raising questions that should be answered by the thing that you just said.
Has you raising questions that should be answered. So all you're basically saying is that I have yet to answer your questions.
No, this is like a separate thing.
Because you said,
oh, so you're raising new questions.
It makes us think that you might actually be gay.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking that you were gay prior, but now I'm like kind of wondering.
Well, now we have to observe the evidence. So the first set of evidence would be that I have a pink desk right here and also pink lights on a TV. So obviously the chat can, you know, logically conclude that maybe this guy's gay, but I'm just, you know, I'm clarifying that, you know, just because I have this pink desk, just because I have, you know, this TV with the pink doesn't mean that I am the only person who sleeps in this room.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm a little bit over time, but I appreciate you coming on up. We'll have to get to the resurrection of Jesus on another day.
Oh yeah, huh? We were supposed to get there.
Right?
Forgot about that.
Okay. I just released a new video, but here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna read supers, and I'm gonna do a members only Q&A. It's gonna be fun. Glitterlock, thanks so much for the 5-cent memberships. I appreciate it. Draconic Drizz.
Members only Q&A.
Yep. What?
How do you do that?
You can do a live and set it to members only.
But like, what if they're members on YouTube?
You can do members only lives on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah.
The more you know.
Yeah, it's in like the like when you set it like private, unlisted, members only. That's where.
Oh, good thinking.
It's one of the options. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice.
Can't access the Discord. Link expired. Help, please. Molly, if you can hear me. Molly, please save us. Molly, please put the Discord link in my bio. Thank you. I appreciate you and everything that you do. Phantom Ranger Earth, thanks so much for the super chat. Proud new member of Allegedly Ian. Can I get a hot to go? Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to dip out.
Do you think the surgery made you hotter?
It definitely made me skinnier. I don't know if
nice.
it's a good thing.
Well,
I don't know. I was already like borderline emaciated, so...
Oh. I guess that's true.
You know. Oof. Maybe I have that gaunt 19th century Victorian boy look going on now, though.
Mother, let me see the sunlight, mother. One last time before the consumption takes me, mother.
Yeah, I think we're rocking that now. But I think that's back in season anyway, so...
Sure.
You know. All right, I'll catch you later, bud.
Yeah, have a good one. Nice work. Get that new leash for your dog walking. Yeah. Thanks. Appreciate it. Simon saying stuff. Thanks so much for the super chat. Listen here, you curly haired guy. You and your luscious locks of curly hair, all curly and shit. You think you're so cool because I'm bald and you have curly hair? I do. It's a tough burden, you know, being better than everybody else, but fuck, dude, if somebody doesn't have to bear it. Binky, thanks so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. Relax with Russell ASMR. It's an axiom because his script demands that it be one. To deny his script is self-defeating. It just resets his script. You're always in his script. And how do you know that I'm always in his script? What's up with the Venmo? Google taking 30%? Yep. Yeah, the Venmo, it's in my bio, I believe. Binky, thanks so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. Miko, thanks so much for the 5 gifted Ian memberships. Appreciate you. That's really cool. Thanks. Relax with Russell, thanks so much for the super chat. Interesting the Christian is so dismissive of Platonism. I was just watching a series that talked about how much Platonism influenced Christianity. That's true. I mean, the problem with presuppositionalists is that they're just idiots. They don't know anything. They LARP. They don't know fuck about shit. And that's why they say confuse things like Platonism's stupid. I don't know if they're aware, but their view is like, it's like mental Platonism, dude. It's like if the Platonic one had a mind, like that's basically their view. Often. Adam, thanks so much for the super chat. As a former teacher, I say detention. Not for me, hopefully. Josiah, thanks so much for the super chat. The replay is this guy's worst enemy. True. Will Day, thanks so much for the super chat. The bro could drag his knuckles through concrete. Yeah, true. Menafolo Moha, thanks so much for the super chat. Loving the content, Ian. Just wanted to suggest a potential new word to add to your repertoire for callers like this. Defenestrate, meaning to throw something out of a window. Like the defenestrations that happened in the one country. Oklahoma, thanks so much. Yeehaw! Thank you so much, Londra. Appreciate it. So, precept versus non-precept debate. They're absolute scumbags to other Christians as well, right? It's weird. Catholic Thinker, thanks so much for the super chat. Lila's back, big W. Yeah, I saw Lila in the comment section. That kicks ass. Yeah, thank you so much, Juno. The Norman explains, thanks so much for the super chat. Fun fact, a PSU can actually act as speakers by carefully modulating the internal switch frequency of a PSU component can produce sound waves. I don't know what a PSU is. I'm stupid. Hume disproved this, by the way. 0 citations. Whoa, Molly, thanks so much for the hearts. Appreciate it. Matthew Johnson, thanks so much for the super chat. I swear to God, if I hear the word axiom one more time in reference to proof, I'm going to eat a fistful of dirt. And who could blame you? Reverend Nate, thanks so much for the super chat. One 35-year-old German man is probably less invasive than 35 old German men. Just saying, Dr. Blitz. Yeah, Dr. Blitz, it could have been worse. Aren't you grateful, Dr. Blitz? Aren't you grateful that it was just one? Shame on you, Dr. Blitz. Very good, Wizard. Thanks so much for the super chat. Great to hear Blitz's voice. W to both of you. Hey, thanks. C-Bar, thanks so much for the super chat. I want to subscribe, but I give all my money to Blitz. No! No, I'm kidding. That's fine. Dr. Blitz deserves it. He's like, you know, like a doctor and whatnot. It's pretty cool. Pork Ramen, thanks so much for the super chat. Sunlight analogy fails. He said, we enter and leave room and sun always shines, but universe is and sunlight changes which part of the room is being lit. Seems about right. Dr. Fudge, thanks so much for the super chat. Just retreat to divine mystery, big dog. This isn't getting better to you. True. There was a point in time where I was like, fuck. Probably should have just like ran tag. Bill Canuck, thanks so much for the super chat. When they do a God of the Gaps, play this. So you're telling me there's a chance bit from Dumber and Dumber. That's fun. Melon, thanks so much for the super chat. Great stream, but please stop stealing valor from the ugly community. No. For as long as people come up and call me ugly, I'm unstoppable. You'll never stop me. I'm unstoppable. That's how unstoppable I am. Reverend Nate, thanks so much for the super chat. Is this caller part of Ian's April Fool's plan? God is in time. Hang on. God is outside of time. No way. He's in time. And then as like an addition to that, no, he is time. He is time itself. And he grants time. And he's outside of time. Not great. Do you have thoughts on Karl Popper? Not strong thoughts. My understanding is that he got beat the fuck down on his unfalsifiability claim but he's like very foundational. There's a lot of philosophers who are very wrong, but they're very foundational for a specific inquiry. Karl Popper is one of them. He's foundational for philosophy of science, but you know, his ideas are bad and he got beat the fuck down. Morma, thanks so much for the tier 1 subscription. Appreciate you. Lou, thank you so much for the 10-month subscription. That kicks ass. And Molly, thank you so much for the 10-month subscription. Thank you so much. That's so cool. It must be like the 10-month anniversary or something. All right. Shokuju, thanks so much for the cool Corey. Ogar Debates, thanks so much for the great Greg. Madeline, thanks so much for the cool Corey. Okay, that should be it. Or eat some shorts. Thanks so much for the Magnificent Mary. That should. Whoa, and Grace, thanks so much for the cool Corey. I'm going to be live in like 10 minutes or so. It's going to be a members only live on TikTok and on YouTube and on Twitch if I can figure out how to do that. And I'll do a Q&A to incentivize memberships. It might be longer than 10 minutes. I'm really bad at times. Don't ever take my word for it if I say that it's going to be like a specific amount of time. We're operating on like Ian time, motherfucker. Also,